Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals, but I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Terry Crews. Actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There is only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more. No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen? Play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Yay!
Man, can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
You're not even a has-been. You're a never was. You're a never was. You're a never was.
February 22nd, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I was lost over there for a second. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. People are probably saying, what the hell was that? I don't know. I don't know what, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including The Loudmouth with me, Speedy Petey, and Sean Smith. All you have to do to tune in every single week is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Speedy, what's up?
I feel like I've entered the Matrix today between all these random words that I've been searching all day and the last half hour where you're trying to throw me in all these random lion, tiger, and bear scenarios.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I know people probably think I'm a little bit of crazy, and I say a little bit of crazy because if I'm very crazy or crazy, you would probably not listen to the show, or maybe you would. But there is certain scenarios I like to throw Speedy during offset or even onset, and I know a lot of people think that I'm probably out of my mind, but I love to have fun with Speedy, and Speedy, I know you love to have fun with me.
Yes, Snug, that is pretty accurate. I do feel like I have a squirrel brain right now.
Well, we all have squirrel brains. We all do, including Snug. I mean, he's got a bunch of cats, and
I was going to say, Snug has more of a cat brain.
Well, I don't know. Cats are smart, and I don't think Snug is that smart.
But
That's just my
Snug
opinion.
would do a comparison of cat intelligence level to him.
Well, I will say this. Snug has his own personality, and when he posts up things or he likes to throw curveballs at us during the show or just try to throw us under the bus because he doesn't like our takes or he just wants to make fun of our takes, he does his own little weird scenarios, offset. So congratulations to Snug. Where's Jeff? I mean, I haven't seen Jeff in the last couple of weeks.
He called Josh's show, but he hasn't called ours in a while.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't need Jeff calling his show. I don't need him driving me off the wall. All right. I had Sean Smith yesterday. That was enough for me. So no, Jeff is better than having Jeff. I'm just kidding. I love Jeff. We have a great show lined up for you at 8:30. We'll be talking to Missouri defensive tackle Realus George Jr. At 9 o'clock, we'll be talking to former Ravens, Saints, Commanders, and Jaguars defensive tackle Martin Chase. He's been on our show before. We're very excited to have him on again. He's doing a lot of speaking now, so Martin will be joining us a little bit later in the show. Reports say that the 49ers are going to have trouble paying Brandon Aiyuk. We've been saying this, and I believe he is going to be the first wide receiver off the board in free agency. So I do believe that. Reports say that the Browns could cut Nick Chubb on his final year of his deal. Nick Chubb, who had a horrendous knee injury during the season. I had him on my fantasy team and almost killed me. And by the way, I did win this year with that fantasy team, but losing Nick Chubb absolutely killed him. He was my number 1 draft pick. And I think I lost him in the week 3. I think it was week 2. And it was a horrendous knee injury. And I will say this, Nick Chubb will come back. He will. I don't know how good he will be, but he's going to be making a lot of money this offseason. I mean, going into the season next year. And maybe the Browns are going to try to cut him to try to save money. Maybe bring in Derrick Henry of some of either him or maybe, I don't know, one of these wide running backs that are going to be available. So we will see moving forward. Nick Chubb is coming off a big, bad injury. So there's a lot of questions to his health. Bart Scott says that the Giants are treating Saquon Barkley like a side piece. Wow. Is he sleeping with them? Or are they sleeping with Saquon Barkley? I mean, side piece. I don't know if I would have used those terms, but interesting take for our friend Bart Scott. So we'll get into that. Nick Saban says he still wants to be a voice of change in college football, even though he has retired. Oh, well, it looks like Nick Saban isn't retiring. I'm willing to bet anybody that in a year's time, Nick Saban will take on a job. I absolutely believe it. There's no way a guy that's been a lifer when it comes to football is going to walk away from college football or NFL football. I believe one way or another, he will get a job or he will take a job. Hey, maybe him and Bill Belichick on the sidelines. That would be fun. That would be interesting. It would. It would be absolutely amazing to see a guy like Bill Belichick and maybe his defensive coordinator, Nick Saban, on the other side. They've worked together before with the Browns, so interesting. Pirates sign ace pitcher Mitch Keller to a 5-year, $77 million contract. The Mets shut down Kodai Senga with a right shoulder strain, likely will miss the first month of the season. And ladies and gentlemen, we might have Let's Parlay. We're waiting for Wes to tell us if he's going to join us. No Derek tonight, no Chaz tonight, and maybe Reno Johnny. We'll see. But yeah, the handicappers are not up and running tonight. Maybe too busy hanging out with their wives. Who knows? So we will get into...
I don't think Derek's married, but okay.
Well, he's almost engaged.
Okay.
I mean, Derek's practically married. I mean, he lives with his girl. And I love Derek, by the way. And it's a shame when Derek can't come on the show and do Let's Parlay with us every single week. But he's a busy guy. And I don't know what he's doing after school. But I've been hearing through the grapevine he might be going back to school. So very interesting. So why don't we get into it? Reports. Yes, reports say that the 49ers are going to have trouble paying Brandon Aiyuk. Bleacher Report's Jordan Schultz says he is not convinced that the 49ers will be able to pay Brandon Aiyuk this offseason. He added that Aiyuk is expected to get number 1 wide receiver money from other teams that he likely wouldn't get from the 49ers. ESPN's Dan Graziano reports that trading Aiyuk is the most likely scenario for the 49ers. Aiyuk is going into his 5th-year option worth about $14.2 million. The 49ers are likely to prioritize paying all-pro safety Hafanagana, whatever his name is. Speed, I don't know why you put that. And linebacker Greenlaw over paying Aiyuk. Aiyuk had 75 catches for 1,342 yards and 7 touchdowns last season. Brandon Aiyuk is a sensational player. Brandon Aiyuk in the Super Bowl completely disappeared. Now, I do not believe Brandon Aiyuk is going to get Deebo Samuel money. Now, everybody thinks that he is, and everybody thinks he could be a number one. I don't know if Brandon Aiyuk is a number one guy. I don't. Now, Brandon Aiyuk this year in certain games really did show up. He had games that he had 150 yards. He had games that he had 115 yards. And he had games that he had 40 yards, 50 yards. And when you look at 75 catches for 1,342 yards and 7 touchdowns, you would say he had a pretty good year. Maybe because Deebo Samuel couldn't stay healthy. And that's why he was the number one wide receiver. That's why he had number one targets. Maybe because Christian McCaffrey was just a beast at the line of scrimmage and he was running through people, which opened up the lanes for Brandon Aiyuk throughout the season. But Brandon Aiyuk is a sensational player. There's no question that he is. And there's no question, does he deserve the money? Absolutely does. And you can't complain and you can't argue that he isn't a special offensive talent. You go into the offseason, you don't even know who your starting quarterback's going to be. And everybody says, what are you talking about? They have Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl did not show up. And I'm going to say this very, very nicely. This could be Kyle Shanahan's last year as the head coach of the 49ers. To me, Brandon Aiyuk is a very important piece to this season. Now, if they franchise him, which they probably will, they have to get something for him. You cannot just let Brandon Aiyuk go to free agency, and they won't. I don't think they're getting a first-round draft pick for him. You could probably get a second round. He's not Devontae Adams at the top of his game. He isn't the number one wide receiver in the league. He's not even number 2, number 3, number 4, even 5. But he's a good player. He is. Top 10 wide receiver this year? Absolutely. And maybe if he had, I don't know, a better quarterback throwing him the ball, a Patrick Mahomes, a Justin Herbert, where that's a place that I think could very much be a place that he would like to go. Jim Harbaugh, a guy that coached the 49ers, a guy that loves to throw the ball and loves to use these interesting top-end wide receivers that you can use in the backfield, you can use in the open field. You can do everything with Brandon Aiyuk because of his speed and his ability inside and out. But the 49ers right now, going into the offseason, they have other important pieces they need to fill in. Their secondary. Ward is a free agent this year. Now, Ward probably goes to free agency. Now, like you said, Speedy, they have an all-pro safety who is coming off a major injury, who they missed all season long. And I think he got hurt in the 5th or 6th week this year. And they missed him. They missed him in the playoffs, and they missed him in the Super Bowl. If they had him in the Super Bowl, maybe they win the Super Bowl because there were a lot of interesting plays that a strong safety or even a free safety could have been used to stop some of the catches in the wide receiving plays Mecole Hardman at the end of the game in the overtime. I mean, if you had a strong safety or you had a free safety like that, because I say strong safety and free safety because he's the type of player that can play both. And linebacker Greenlaw, who they lost in the first quarter of the game by tripping on his own foot or the turf, and he tears his Achilles. Now, Greenlaw might not play next year. And if he does play, it won't be till the end of the season or the middle of the season. This is a huge injury, an Achilles injury for a guy that plays linebacker who has a big, obviously a big pressed body. I mean, what is he, 210 pounds, 220 pounds? And again, these injuries are significant. You look at the 49ers going into the offseason, there are a ton of players that they could lose. A ton. And Kyle Shanahan right now is not going to be in the driver's seat this offseason. As a matter of fact, he might need to use the brakes. Because like I said, John Lynch going into this season has to make a decision. The team might need to make a decision on John Lynch too. I mean, he's going into what? His 5th year of his contract. I think he signed a 6-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers. Do they trust that John Lynch is the guy that's going to take this team to the promised land? They haven't won a Super Bowl. They've been to a Super Bowl. They haven't won a Super Bowl in 40 years or 30 years. I'm sorry. That's a long time. Everybody wants to make fun of the New York Jets because they haven't won a Super Bowl in 54 or 53 years. The 49ers have been a good team, a good squad, great teams in the past, good quarterbacks, great coaches, and haven't won. Haven't won. And that says a lot about this team and this organization. They can't win the big game. And now you're going into the offseason, you're trying to figure out what they're going to do with Brandon Aiyuk, what they're going to do with how do you pronounce his name? Hufanga. I think he's from Hawaii, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Greenlaw. Greenlaw, I think, is a player that you don't have to extend him on a big contract because he's coming off an Achilles injury. You're not going to have to overpay him. Now, if he was coming off a great season like he was this year and he didn't tear his Achilles, you probably have to pay him. But an Achilles injury for a guy that's 26 years old and a linebacker, that could be significant moving forward. We've seen Terrell Suggs. He came back from an Achilles injury. I think he was 29 when he tore his Achilles. Now, he's obviously Greenlaw is 3 years younger than Suggs, but Terrell Suggs came back. He was still good, but he was a shell of himself. And I don't know what Greenlaw is going to be. I don't. So I think you could get Greenlaw, I wouldn't say on the cheap, but you could save a lot of money. You're not going to have to pay him probably the 16, 17 million he's probably or was probably going to ask in the offseason. I would think probably now 12, 13 million dollars would probably get the deal done.
And again, that's why I think Aiyuk is a polarizing thing, because they have had linebackers go alongside Fred Warner that have done well in the scheme. And when you have somebody that good next to you, it's helped them be able to replenish guys well. Same kind of thing on the defensive line. How many defensive linemen have they rotated around because of Nick Bosa? I don't think you have that kind of thing with the wide receivers. Aiyuk is a very different skill set than everything else they've had over the years. And that includes a lot of wide receiver draft busts in the Kyle Shanahan era, with Jalen Hurd, with Dante Pettis. A lot of these guys that just didn't work in the scheme. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way his scheme works, because it's a very yards after the catch type scheme, which is why Deebo Samuel strives. If Deebo Samuel wasn't drafted by the 49ers, I don't know if he would strive the same way.
No, he's a better fit.
Yes.
He's a better fit for the 49ers. Brandon Aiyuk, he's a good fit wherever he goes.
Correct.
But Brandon Aiyuk, he's a speed demon. That's what he's used for. And there's a lot of speed demons coming out of this year's draft. You can get guys like Brandon Aiyuk in this year's draft. In the second round, you could find a guy like Brandon Aiyuk. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe not as good as Brandon Aiyuk. And it took Brandon Aiyuk, 2-3 years to really develop.
He was injured a lot his rookie year.
He wasn't as good as he is now. Now, it takes usually 3 to 4 years to develop. And he has developed. But again, do you pay a wide receiver that kind of money? He's looking for number one wide receiver money. That you're speaking about probably 25, 26 million. Are you willing to pay him after paying Deebo Samuel 25, 26 million 2 years ago?
Right. You mentioned the development of Aiyuk too, because he had injury issues his rookie year, a lot of nagging hamstring and ankle injuries. And the second year Deebo Samuel had that very hot start, but the 49ers as a team started that season really slow. They were 2-5 at one point because Deebo Samuel was the only guy that was being targeted. When Aiyuk wasn't used, the team offense wasn't as good. And that has to do with Kyle Shanahan and the play calling. And they turned it around in the second half. They went to the NFC Championship game when they actually got other guys more involved in the offense. And that's the reason I don't know if you can have that kind of value lost with somebody like Aiyuk, especially when Deebo Samuel's also been very injury prone as well. He missed the entire most of the 2020 season, injuring himself on the MetLife turf. He missed a good amount of this year as well. He got hurt in the playoffs, and they didn't have those other replacements in years past that they do now with Aiyuk and even with Juwan Jennings, who played well in the Super Bowl when Deebo was hurt. So I think that would be a big mistake if they do let him go, because I don't think they have another receiver like that.
How are they going to pay him? How are they going to pay him?
That's what's going to be difficult. You're right. And the big contracts that they have on the defense right now, they're going to have to rely on other supporting casts to work with that. And I think that's a philosophy they have to have. Even changing defensive coordinators, I don't know why they fired Steve Wilkes as it was. That's a big mistake in itself. But paying Bosa, paying Armstead, and paying Warner, those three guys, the contracts that they have to try to fill that in, because I think they've done that well in the past where they haven't really done that on the offense.
The only thing that stood out to me to Brandon Aiyuk throughout the playoffs was that Lions catch. That unbelievable catch off the helmet. That was the only thing that stood out to me throughout the playoffs for Brandon Aiyuk. Now, are you going to pay a guy in the big game who can't show up in the big game and make the plays and score? That's what you're paying a number one wide receiver. Now, Deebo Samuel, you paid him. You decided to pay Deebo Samuel that kind of money, and you did. You paid him that money. He's making that money, but he can't stay healthy. Right. Now you have a guy like Brandon Aiyuk who wants the same amount of money as Deebo Samuel, maybe even more than Deebo Samuel, because the price has gone up for wide receivers. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Carolina will pay him. There are a ton of teams. I don't have the list in front of me right now.
Chicago, Washington, Tennessee. There's a lot of those
these teams
yeah.
are going to pay him $32 million a year if he's the best wide receiver available.
And Tennessee just hired somebody from the 49ers front office. So if he becomes available, watch out for that.
Well, he is going to become available. Now, they'll probably franchise him because, to me, I just think that it makes more sense to sign Greenlaw because you're not going to have to overpay him. You're not. And now you're probably going to lose Ward. And there are a lot of teams that are going to move players and lose players. I mean, Snead is probably going to leave the Chiefs after the season that he had. There are good players that are going to be available throughout the league. So it's not just going to be the 49ers, but I think the 49ers have like 5-6 starters right now that are probably going to be available in free agency. They're not going to be able to keep them. They can't pay everybody. And by the way, I sit here today and I mentioned Brock Purdy. If they have any chance of getting Kirk Cousins, they're probably going to make a move on that more than bringing Brandon Aiyuk back, because they'd rather pay Kirk Cousins, a quarterback that can get him over the hump, than a Brandon Aiyuk that doesn't show up in the playoffs.
Snug says Deebo Samuel to the Jets. Well, they had a chance to trade for Deebo Samuel, but then they wouldn't have gotten Garrett Wilson at number 10 overall in the draft if they traded for him that year. So
that's true.
That would be a net loss, actually.
All right, who do we have on the phone?
We got Jeff.
Oh, finally, he's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, Earl. Let's go Knicks tonight. They're playing a crappy team, right? Love the Knicks.
The 76ers are not a crappy team.
Yeah, they are. No, they definitely are without Joel Embiid. They are not very good without Joel Embiid. And since he is out for an extended period of time, they are playing a crappy team.
I still think the 76ers are a pretty good team. I mean, where are they ranked right now? What are they? Fifth? They're fifth seed. And since Joel Embiid's been out, what is their record?
5-12, I believe.
All right. So
they're a crappy team.
First of all, the Knicks haven't played well since the injuries they've had.
Not.
And who do they have back?
The Knicks are great. Just give
who do they have back? Randall's not back.
Let him shoot.
I mean, DiVincenzo's back.
They don't need Randall. Isaiah Hartenstein's plugging up the middle. What's up?
All right, Jeff, what are you calling for?
You realize the 49ers can get bring him back for and have no impact on their salary cap situation.
How do you figure?
Because the salary cap just went up $26 million. They can just give him the $26 million it went up.
But why would they do that when they have all these guys that are right now going to be free agents? They need to keep, and they obviously fill in their roster. You're going to give that $26 million to Brandon Aiyuk and the other guys. What are you going to do with their star safety? What are they going to do with Greenlaw? What are they going to do with Ward?
Well, Greenlaw's old. You can let him walk. What they need to do, honestly, is restructure Debo's contract. That's what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
That should be priority one. Give him more money up front and lower his salary cap number and get it down that way.
49ers currently have
That's what
$12.6 million salary cap.
They don't, because if the salary cap, I mean, look, every team gets it, but if they have 12, it just went to 38.
And just so you know, Dre Greenlaw is 26 years old. He's not old. He's in the prime of his career as a linebacker, and he's one of the best. And he's one of the best linebackers in the league. So to say that he's old and he's washed up and he's not good,
he'd be a great Jet.
Stop with the Jets.
The Jets don't need linebackers.
The Jets are not going to bring in Dre
Mosley.
Greenlaw.
Let's get Mosley out of there and bring in Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah, right. CJ Mosley was a borderline all-pro player again this year. Yeah, that's great. Good move by the Jets. That's something the Jets would do.
And they should bring in Aiyuk. How great would Aiyuk be running around in the slot, right, as a slot receiver, because we're getting Devontae Adams and have Garrett Wilson.
Why are we bringing up the Jets? We're talking about the 49ers.
Because everything comes back to the Jets.
I haven't brought up the Jets at all.
No, but it's coming, so we should.
No, I did not bring up the Jets. We spoke about the Jets yesterday, and I'm not speaking about the Jets today. Okay,
no, we're talking about where Aiyuk could go.
Aiyuk is not going to the Jets. He's not.
He should.
Mike Evans has a better chance of going to the Jets than Brandon Aiyuk.
No, Evans is going to stay in Tampa.
Brandon Aiyuk is another Garrett Wilson. They're not going to bring in another guy like Garrett Wilson.
That's not true.
Yes,
Garrett
he is.
Wilson runs on the outside. Aiyuk is kind of like he's like a tweener guy. So
Both guys could do both.
No, they're not.
Right.
They're speed demons, and they can run routes. They're both good route runners.
Name a better wide receiving core than Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Brandon Aiyuk.
They can't afford all those guys. They can't.
They could.
They're going to pay Devontae Adams money, where he's making close to $30 million, and you're going to pay Aiyuk, who's going to want $30 million too. That's $60 million in wide receivers. What are you, nuts?
We'll just get the great Aaron Rodgers to restructure his contract again.
He probably will. He probably will. But
maybe he will, so the Jets get a better backup quarterback.
He's not going to restructure it where he's going to cut it down.
They don't need a backup, Speedy. Aaron Rodgers will at least last twice as long as he did this year.
Okay, so he's going to play 8 games, or he's going to play 2 games, Jeff? Is that where you're going? 8 plays, 2 games?
Look, Aaron Rodgers is going to be great. Don't worry about Aaron Rodgers. We're winning the Super Bowl. He's going to be great.
Jeff,
and I think Brandon Aiyuk would be great as
You're
a Jet.
such a smart ass, man. You really
Not a smart ass. Hopeful. I'm hopeful.
It's not going to happen. I'm a Jet fan. It's not going to happen. Why are we speaking about the Jets? We're speaking about the 49ers. And the 49ers, they have to make a choice. Who do they want to bring back? Yes, they're going to have $26 million, like you said, because the cap went up. But are they going to throw all that money into a wide receiver or split it up and pay a star safety and a star linebacker? Yeah. Honestly, they're known for their defense more than their offense.
The other thing they also need is offensive line, too. They should maybe, if they're going to let go of Aiyuk, invest in some free agent offensive linemen or trade for offensive linemen.
First of all, no one's salary cap number is their actual salary cap number because
of course
there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a ton of people that get cut to free up space. People are going to make decisions. Is this guy too old?
Jeff,
is this guy getting paid too much? It's not like just let it go for a little while.
Jeff, how many players, if you were the 49ers, would you cut right now on that roster? How many players?
No, but I don't know because I don't have all their salaries in front of me and their ages.
Well, Chase
Young,
Young,
are they trending up? Are they trending down? I don't have all that information. I'm not terribly versed in the 49ers. My team's the Jets, and that's who I focus on.
No, stop. Your team isn't the Jets. You're a Patriots fan. We all know.
Not at all.
Yeah, okay.
Not at all.
Yeah, just like you're a Knick fan. Yeah, I'm lost
100%.
with this. You're crazy.
I love Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Dante DiVincenzo just can't stop making threes. Pair him with Bogdanovich. Love the Knicks.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
The 49ers have 10 contracts above $10 million or more next year, including Aiyuk.
There is no way in hell they're bringing back Brandon Aiyuk. If I were them, I would franchise him and trade him. You can get a second-round draft pick for him. You're not getting a first-round draft pick. I know a lot of people think, hey, he's good enough to get a first-round draft pick for. He's not Devontae Adams.
Yeah, they would have last year.
Devontae Adams is, at the time where he was going to become available, he was like 28 years old. He was the best wide receiver in football. He was the best wide receiver in football. So there's no way in hell that's going to happen. And by the way, I think The Green Bay Packers got a first-round draft pick for him, didn't they?
No.
They didn't get...
Oh, yeah, they did. They got 1 and a 3.
Yeah, they got a first-round draft pick for Devontae Adams. And Devontae Adams was 28. Ayuk, I think, is 26 or 25.
Right.
So he's younger, but he is not as... I don't think he's a game changer like a Devontae Adams. He's a great player. There's no question that he is. But Brandon Aiyuk, if you have Brandon Aiyuk on the field, you can shut Brandon Aiyuk on the field. You could shut him down. We've seen him being shut down at least 3 times this year. Devontae Adams, good luck. You can't shut him down.
I mean, I think that you're underestimating the stupidity of some teams. Like, to say that he's definitely not worth a first-round draft pick, I think horribly underestimates that teams are super wide receiver needy and they overpay for things.
No question.
So he could get a first-round draft pick. Like, look, there's an ass for every chair, right? Like, that's just what it is. Would it be too crazy to say that Jerry Jones would trade a first-round draft pick for Brandon Aiyuk?
How is he going to pay him? How is he going to pay him? Jerry Jones has been over the salary cap for how many years?
Yeah, they always keep figuring something out. And by the way, the salary cap isn't even really real. You can always manipulate it.
Of course you can, but the Cowboys have always been in salary hell. They're paying Dak Prescott $60 million this year.
Yeah, do you really trust Jerry Jones' 81-year-old brain to manipulate it?
I mean, look, there's plenty of places I could name that he would fit in nicely to pair on the other side of something. You don't think Buffalo's losing Gabe Davis?
They have a lot of cap issues. It's going to be really hard for them.
Right. But
they're like 51 over.
Right, but there's plenty of situations that you could name. Plenty of them. Green Bay. You don't think you could go to Green Bay?
I don't think they need him. They have enough receivers. I think they have enough receivers there.
They don't. Their receiving core stinks.
No, they were pretty good this year.
Who do you like on that core? Speedy Dontavian Wicks? Is that the big?
I like Christian Watson.
I
like Christian Watson.
Their tight end played well too, and Jaden Reed.
Who never plays? You love Christian Watson, who never plays because he's hurt.
No, he was hurt this year, but the year before that, he was one of the best second half wide receivers in the league.
Plus Dobbs and Jaden Reed, who both played well this year as well. I think they're fine. They're fine. They need to work on defense. They're fine on offense right now.
I think so too.
There's plenty of places that are wide receivers. That trash up
the Lions. The Lions are a team. I mean, they don't need them, but the Lions could be a team. They have a lot of money. I think they have $58 million. I could see the Lions, if they want to really be get a game-changing wide receiver.
That would be dangerous.
That would be really dangerous. It would be
Imagine
scary.
how dangerous that would be, because Jameson Williams is coming into his own. Add Ayuk with St. Brown and Laporta. That could be really dangerous.
Yes, the Lions are definitely a team. Yes, the Lions are definitely a team that, if they want to make a splash this offseason, they can make that. Absolutely.
I'll give you another one. You're going to call me crazy and say, "Oh, they don't need it."
I can give you another one. The Chiefs,
they have to figure it out.
I don't know if they have the money to do that.
They're like $5 million right now.
Well, hold on one second. Snead is probably going to go somewhere else, so that could open up cap room. So yeah, it could happen. I mean, but I don't.
If a team has a need, they can figure out the money.
Yeah, but I don't think the Chiefs are going to get a Brandon Aiyuk. I think the Chiefs will go after like the second-tier wide receivers if they become available, if they get waived or dropped this offseason. The top ones, the 3 or 4 that are going to be available, the Mike Evans, the Brandon Ayuks, and the T. Higgins.
Evans is not available. Trust me, Evans is not available.
I don't know, because Baker Mayfield might not be going back to the Buccaneers, and if he is not going back...
Trust me, he is.
Well, how do you know?
Hold on. Let me pull it up.
He's got his sources.
Is he
sources? Sources? I was at the hockey game with him.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're wrong, Jeff. I'm just saying I trust you to have your Tampa sources.
You were hanging out with Bake?
Yeah, so do you know what Gasparilla is?
No.
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is exactly.
What is it?
Yeah, Gasparilla is like it's dumb. Tampa celebrates everything, right? Like we just do everything.
I know he was at the Tampa Bay Lightning game. I did see that. Him and his girl, his wife, were there, right?
Right. Right. We sat right in front of them. Hold on. You can wait for it. Me and my friend Nikki here.
So what did he say? What did he say?
He's not leaving. They've already worked out the contract, dude. He's not leaving. The whole plan is to work it out with Mike Evans first to get him a contract so they can figure out what they can then pay Baker. He's not leaving.
All right, so maybe he's not leaving. All right, so you still have Ayuk. You still have T. Higgins. You still have Calvin Ridley. I mean, and by the way, the Jaguars they have salary room. They could add a guy like Aiyuk.
Right.
Because Calvin Ridley is going to be available.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be worth for them to bring Ridley back because then they have to send the Falcons a second-round pick.
Right. So Ridley is going to be available as well. So
was it a second? I thought it got upgraded
it was a second.
First
It's a
something.
second.
I thought it got upgraded to a first.
No, he didn't play well enough for it to be a first, but it's a second.
So there's definitely he's definitely not going back to the Jaguars. So I mean, Brandon Aiyuk could go to the Jaguars. There are a couple of teams. There are a couple of teams. Miami could find a way to add Brandon Aiyuk. I know him and what's his name again? Hill love each other. They have like some kind of fetish with each other. He's been on Tyreek Hill's podcast. So maybe he goes to Miami. So and could you imagine Brandon Aiyuk on Miami with that offense that they have, that speed that they have over there?
How about the $61 million in salary cap space Houston Texans?
That too. I mean, but why would they want to bring in a Brandon Aiyuk? They have Collins, they have Dell, they have a good young wide receiving core. They could bring in a veteran, but they don't need to bring in a star veteran because I think Collins and Dell are becoming those kind of guys. So you don't want to keep the ball away from them. You don't want to take the ball away from those guys.
You can go to Chicago. How great
Chicago
would it be
too.
to play on the other side of DJ Moore.
True. Yeah, absolutely. But I think Chicago's going to draft a wide receiver in the top 10.
I think they're going after T. Higgins. They wanted to last year.
No, I think a lot of teams are going to go after T. Higgins. I do believe the Giants will go after T. Higgins too. But the question is, what is it going to cost these teams to make a move for T. Higgins? T. Higgins didn't have a good year, so he might get a little bit less than what he would have been worth if he had the season that he had the year before.
But you don't. But you don't even like they've franchised him, haven't they? Or haven't they?
They're about to.
They're going to franchise him, so they're going to trade him. They're not going to be able to keep him because they're going to probably
play on the franchise tag.
Yes, but they're not going. He's not going to do that. He's definitely not going to do that. He wants his big contract. And I think that they're going to be negotiating a deal with Jamar Chase this offseason because there were stories coming out in Cincinnati that's their number one priority is giving Jamar Chase that big contract. So it's not T. Higgins. So T. Higgins is probably going to be traded. Now, what are they going to get for T. Higgins? They're not getting a first-round draft pick. They'll probably, because of this year and the injuries that he had, probably, if they're lucky, a second-round draft pick, more than likely a third-round draft pick for a T. Higgins because everybody knows he is going to be available. They're going to use him as trade bait. And again, we don't know. And like you said, Jeff, good wide receivers are hard to come by. So if you can get a guy like T. Higgins, you can get a guy like Brandon Aiyuk, or if you can get a guy like even Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley had a pretty good season last year. He did. For a guy that missed almost 2 years of football, what did he have?
He was really good.
He was really good. His numbers were good. And he is going to be available. And he's not going to get that kind of money like Brandon Aiyuk or a T. Higgins because of his age. He's at 28, 29. So he's still he's still in the prime of his career, but how many years does he have left? 3 years. So I do believe a guy like Calvin Ridley is going to be a hot commodity this offseason because he's right there in that second tier wide receivers. He's not in the first tier anymore, but at one point he was when he was playing for Atlanta. So that's interesting. I think Calvin Ridley is the hottest commodity for wide receivers this offseason because I think he could be a game changer for teams. And I could see many, many different teams making a run for him because you're not going to have to overpay him. You're not going to have to pay him $20 million.
No,
you could probably get him for $14, $15 million for 3 years. And that's, if I was a team right now, that's the route I go. Not with Brandon Aiyuk where I have to pay him $28, $30 million. Or T. Higgins, who's probably going to ask for $20 to $25 million.
Jeff, you were describing the Buffalo Bills before. Like, if they're trying to manipulate all the other salary cap, they could make Calvin Ridley work as a second receiver for $15 million or something like that. That would be the better move for them rather than going 25 for Aiyuk.
I mean, like, you know what's funny? You guys have named a bunch of wide receivers, and I don't even think that any of them are the best wide receiver that's available.
No,
it's crazy to me.
Why, you don't think Brandon Aiyuk or T. Higgins is the best wide receiver available? I mean, Mike Evans would be. You just said he's not going to be available. Who?
No.
Devontae Adams? If he is available.
Well, he's under contract, so
yeah, but he could be available to be traded. So
no, if it's me, I'm going after Michael Pittman.
I'm fine with that too. I don't think he's better than Aiyuk.
Here's the problem with Michael Pittman.
Pittman's great.
He has
No, he is. I like Pittman too.
He's great, and I think that he would be a great fit for the New York Giants.
I absolutely will agree.
I've been saying that really all season long. If the Giants were going to go after somebody, I would go after Michael Pittman. Here's the problem. Michael Pittman has concussion problems. He's in 2 years, he's had how many concussions? 2, 3 concussions? That would scare me if you're going to pay a Michael Pittman. Now, Michael Pittman is going to get somewhere between 18 and 22 million.
Absolutely.
But there's always language you can put in contracts to get out of that. Like there's always, and if he gets hurt and he's out, you know, like you can always void the contract.
No,
like you can put injury clauses in there for that kind of stuff. Like you can do that, dude.
I like Michael Pittman
I think
too.
he's the best. I think he's the best one available. I think he's the best route runner. I think he's really fast. I think he's got size and can go up and get the ball and things like that. Like I don't see a lot of that. And like, dude, say what you want. And I know T. Higgins is really good. And I'm a T. Higgins guy. I liked him at Clemson. I was telling you about him when he was
you
at
did.
Clemson.
I know. You did. Yep.
Right. I don't see T. Higgins have that dog in him.
He doesn't. And that's the thing about Jamar Chase. That's why everybody loves Jamar Chase, because he has the dog. He's a 6-foot guy that likes to speak. He likes to talk. T. Higgins doesn't really talk. He goes out there, he plays the game, and that's the type of player he is. So
when Jamar Chase went out, who was the guy that stepped up on that team?
When Jamar Chase went out, Tyler Boyd, yes. And
not T. Higgins.
Well, T. Higgins wasn't healthy either this year. How many games did he play? 10 games?
He was out in the middle of the season.
Yeah, he played 10 games.
He was healthy when Chase was hurt, though.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So when
he wasn't healthy when Chase, he was playing.
Boyd was the guy.
Yes.
Boyd was the dude.
Yeah, he was.
I don't think Higgins has that dog in him. I'm like, you can call me crazy and that, like, you wouldn't necessarily be wrong, but like, I don't see him have. Dude, Michael Pittman, he's going to fight for that extra yard.
Jeff, let me tell you something. The reason why T. Higgins didn't have a good year, and a lot of these wide receivers didn't have a good year, is because Joe Burrow wasn't healthy. That's why. They had the kid Browning, and I'm not saying Browning was bad, but if you had Joe Burrow, don't you think that T. Higgins would have over 1,000 yards? Don't you think he has 10 or 11 touchdowns? And by the way, T. Higgins was better than Boyd. He was better than Boyd this year. He was. I mean, if you look at the numbers in the yards per catch, he was better than Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd had how many touchdowns?
Tyler Boyd's a short route guy.
He had 2 touchdowns the whole season.
He's a short route guy at this point.
I think he had his first.
Tyler Boyd's the one that really stepped his game up, though, when Chase went down.
No, that's fine, Jeff. I'm just saying, like, in terms of his overall skill set, he's a traditional slot receiver that isn't really a big deep threat. Higgins still has more upside in that regard, even though, like, I think, Jeff, you were right. I think the inconsistency has been a problem for Higgins at certain points in his career, especially this year, even when he was healthy. Even when before he got hurt at the beginning of the year, he wasn't great either. But still, I think he's still an upgrade over Boyd, but that'll make him a downgrade over Aiyuk when it comes to free agency.
T. Higgins is so much better than Tyler Boyd. So much better.
I would offer this thought to you, though. T. Higgins is entirely replaceable in the draft. You could take a wide receiver in the first round, but I don't know where the Bengals are picking.
The Bengals have leeway. They're middle of the pack. I think 18 or something like that. Yeah, they have leeway to do that. I understand.
Right, but they could draft a Keon Coleman. Or, like they're not going to get a Doomsday or a Harrison or anything like that, but they can draft a Keon Coleman who's really good.
That's a good consolation prize.
And probably replace Higgins without having to pay any of the money.
No, and this is a wide receiving draft where if you decide you want to part ways,
it's like 6 guys.
Yeah, six really good guys, game-changing guys. Like we spoke about this. Jeff, you said it during the season that this is going to be a good wide receiving draft, and there are 6 really good ones.
It's not great. It's all right. It's not great. It's top heavy and then it gets thin quick because I'm not super high on guys like Jalen Polk.
There are a lot of teams that need quarterbacks and offensive linemen. So I think there'll be at least 2, maybe even 3 wide receivers that could be available at 18 or 17 to land one of these guys. I think Coleman will be available.
And Coleman goes before that. Cincinnati could get a good offensive lineman, so they need that as well.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at it. I just pulled up a list. I'm looking at 5 guys that you would want. Another one that is could be really good, and then it's a bunch of really common guys, like Adonai Mitchell. Not sold on Adonai Mitchell. You can keep him, but like Harrison Jr., Odunze, Neighbors, Coleman, and Brian Thomas. Okay, I'm all in. Troy Franklin, maybe, and then what? Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, like It's not that deep. It's not that deep. You're not like last year, the year before, you'd be going into like the second round and still be taking really good wide receivers. Like the Christian Watson draft. Christian Watson was what, 25th, 26th? They ain't lasting that long this year. Because once a couple of guys go, the premium is going to be on them. There's going to be a run at the position because of that.
The Athletic reports that the Browns could consider cutting Nick Chubb in his final year of his contract. Chubb has a salary cap hit of $16 million. The Browns would have to pay him a dead cap hit of $4 million if they cut him. Chubb tore his PCL, MCL, and other knee ligaments week 2 versus the Steelers. The Browns would also consider restructuring Chubb's contract, making his base salary into a signing bonus. Chubb is averaging 5.3 yards per carry in his career, which is 7th best in NFL history. Chubb is 28 years old, had 4 Pro Bowl appearances, and has rushed for 6,341 yards and 48 touchdowns in 5 NFL seasons. I'm going to say this. I don't know if I'm taking a chance with Nick Chubb. I love Nick Chubb. I think before this knee injury, he's one of the top 5 running backs in all of football. There's no question he is. And he's a workhorse. And now that's what he was for Cleveland. He was everything to Cleveland. But now, if you look what Cleveland did this year without him, I think with Ford and all the other guys that they had this year, they don't really need Nick Chubb. Now, Nick Chubb's still available. There are teams out there looking for veteran running backs. There are a couple of really good veteran running backs that are going to be available this offseason. Saquon Barkley being one of them. Derrick Henry being another. There's a ton of them. Yeah, there are a ton of them. And Nick Chubb's just another veteran that's going to be out there. But coming off a knee injury of this significance, I mean, if you're sitting here today, are you the Cleveland Browns? And if you're running the Cleveland Browns right now, if you're the Cleveland Browns right now, are you taking a chance going into an offseason where there could be maybe 3 better options or even options in the draft where you don't have to pay a Nick Chubb? Now, Nick Chubb can get healthy this year, and we've seen this guy. He comes back from injuries his whole career. I mean, he's had knee injuries in his career. So we've seen him come, and we've seen him really turn into the player that he's become as an NFL superstar. And by the way, he was a 2nd-round draft pick. He fell out of the 1st round. His teammate, who was drafted by the New England Patriots, and everybody was going back and forth. Who's better? Chubb and Sony Michel. And all of them were saying it. Oh, Sony Michel looked better than Nick Chubb at the end of the season and throughout those ball games. And everybody's, I'm going with Sony Michel. Sony Michel was not the same player in the NFL as he was in college. Nick Chubb became that game-changing running back for the Cleveland Browns, and they drafted him in the 2nd round.
Let's not forget the Seahawks also drafted Rashad Penny before both of them.
I couldn't believe that either. Rashad Penny, who's we played for the Eagles this year,
and he barely played.
He was a 3rd-string running back who barely touched the ball. So, and that's something Seattle likes to do, draft these running backs in the early rounds. Makes no sense. And then again, going back to Nick Chubb, I sit here today, and if I was a team right now like the Giants, if you lose Saquon Barkley, I would look at Nick Chubb. You're not going to have to overpay him. You give Nick Chubb a $10 million contract, probably what you gave to Saquon this year. He probably takes it. Now, is Nick Chubb Saquon Barkley? And Saquon Barkley did come back from a knee injury, and it was an ACL, but it wasn't the PCL and the MCL and pretty much all the knee ligaments. If anybody didn't see the video when he went down, it was horrible. It was disgusting. I think his leg, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I don't even want to see it. No. So, but I don't know what he is going to be when he comes back. And if I were the Browns, and the Browns need to win this coming year, they have a guy.
Is he even going to play this year? That's the bigger question.
They say he is.
Week 12?
They say he is.
Hurt week 12 or something?
No. It was early in the season.
Yeah.
Week 2. He got
week
hurt.
2. And they're saying he's going to play this year. Yeah, against the Steelers. Mm-hmm. And they're saying he is going to play this year. He believes that he is. And he was on Twitter a couple of weeks ago saying that he's doing his rehab and he believes he'll be back this year. So
I'll believe it when I see it.
Same here. I don't know. But if there's anybody that, if you could believe that he's going to come back from an injury like this, it's Nick Chubb. It really is, because we've seen this guy come back from 2 knee injuries. Not as bad as this one, but 2 knee injuries.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I would believe it if it was like one of the ligaments. Like if he tore his ACL, I'd be like, yeah, he's going to be fine. Like, don't worry about it. It was like all of them.
Yeah.
Like that's a problem.
It was his PCL too. I mean, how many times? How hard it is?
No, I thought it was all three. I thought it was ACL,
MCL, and I think 3 others. Like,
yes,
it was a lot.
I mean, it's very.
Right. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm just, like, look, I'm not saying no. I'm just skeptical. That's all. Like,
here's the thing: the common knee injury for running backs is the ACL and MCL. Those are the common, injuries for a running back. When you tear your PCL, which is very uncommon, then it's bad. It's a really bad injury. And Deshaun Watson, going into this upcoming season, you need to see what you have with Deshaun Watson. You're overpaying him. This is guaranteed money. You're giving him guaranteed money. Again, he missed practically the whole season. And that's a problem for the Browns because this could set the team back. They should have kept Baker Mayfield. I said that when they decided to part ways, when the fans were trying to run him and his wife out of town. And look at what Baker Mayfield.
Them now.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, you sit here now and Deshaun Watson missing 2 years playing and doing whatever he does off the field. It hasn't worked. And now you're going into a season. Are you going to bring Joe Flacco back as your backup? Are you going to trust that old man Joe is going to be ready to do what he did this year, the comeback player of the year? I don't know. And Deshaun Watson, let's be really honest about this. I don't know if Deshaun Watson is ever going to be the same quarterback he once was.
Also coming off a shoulder injury, too. That was week 12, Jeff. That was in the Ravens game. That was later in the season. So he might not be as good as he expected to be there. And even so, he had like 2 good games this year.
There was so much stuff going on. I forgot when he got hurt. I thought it was later, but yeah, I guess week 2, I guess.
I mean, if I were the Browns right now, I wouldn't be worried about Nick Chubb. I'd be worried about Deshaun Watson. Yeah. Because that money that they offered him is guaranteed. It's not like, hey, you know what? We can cut him here and they have to pay him. So that's guaranteed $230 million.
Right. I wouldn't worry about Deshaun Watson. He's going to be healthy. He's got a good masseuse.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah. Well, what does that mean for the rest of the players? That's another question.
Right. But look, I'm not worried about the Browns. They're going to figure it out. Like, they played really well with all of those injuries and still made the playoffs as like what were they, a 3
5
seed
seed
or something?
5 seed. They were the first wild card.
Right. So, like, think about that. That's really good. Like, the rest of that team is really good to do that. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe the rest of the AFC sucks and couldn't pass the Browns or something. But I think they did pretty well to fight all of that adversity.
Their defense is fantastic. They had a fantastic defense, but they didn't show up against the Texans.
Yeah, it was like the best defense in the league.
Oh, it was by far the best defense in the league, by far. And that's crazy when you talk about San Francisco and all the other great teams, the Ravens, the Jets. Yeah, all of them. All of the defenses that we spoke about all season long. The Browns had the best defense, and that's why their coach was coach of the year. That's why Joe Flacco was comeback player of the year. But Jeff, stay on. When we come back, we will get into the Bart Scott story because it seems like Bart Scott is on every single story in tabloids for the last couple of days. So every single thing, he's taking shots at Micah Parsons. Now he's taking shots at the Giants and Saquon Barkley and Joe Shane. It's crazy right now. Bart Scott's been a lead story, but when we come back, we'll get into that. But first, our Sports Minute with Tommy Scoops.
This is the Sports Loudmouth Sports Minute.
So you ready to get loud?
With Tommy Scoops.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. I am back after missing yesterday. No need to fear, though. I am back to give you guys all the rundown for the Loudmouth Sports Minute. I am your man, Tommy Scoops. And for today's scoop, in NFL news, the Cincinnati Bengals have announced that they will be switching their playing field, to currently field turf, which is actually the same field turf as the Giants and Jets Stadium and MetLife Stadium. In other NFL news, the Seattle Seahawks have reworked Geno Smith's contract, clearing up space for 2024 season, effectively announcing that they will be keeping Smith for next season. Switching over into the NBA, the Pistons center, Isaiah Stewart, has been banned for 3 games after altercation with Eubanks, the center of the Phoenix Suns, and all the charges have been dismissed on the case currently going. And in other news, Quinn Snyder, the Hawks head coach, announced that center Onyeka Okongwu is actually going to be out for the foreseeable future with a toe injury. In other sports news, men's college basketball hoops in LSU Tigers have been fined $100,000 after the fans stormed the court after the team beat Kentucky, number 17 Kentucky, 75-74 in the final seconds on a buzzer beater. Now to go into scoops and scores, where I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the current games happening right now. And in the NBA, Detroit is squaring off right now with Indiana. Indiana currently has a 55-37 lead. And Orlando is currently squaring up with Cleveland, 49-37 Magic lead. And New York is playing the 76ers right now. New York currently has a 54-39 lead with Tyrese Maxey having 17 points. And Toronto squaring off with the Brooklyn Nets. The Raptors currently have a lead, 44-41. And Phoenix is currently leading 29-19 against the Mavericks. That is currently all the time that I have for you guys right now. I'm going to be back later on in the show for an update. Send it back to the boys for a continuation of the Sports Loudmouth.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me, Speedy Petey, and Sean Smith every Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Obviously, Sean is not on tonight. He has his girls' basketball game, but he will be on every single Wednesday night with us. All you have to do to tune in is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Oh, I mean, we have Jeff still on the line, right? We have Jeff there. Yep. So I do want to get into this story. And Jeff, I want to know your opinion on this because Bart Scott he seems like he's drawing a lot of, confliction on some of the things that he has been saying throughout his show and throughout the press. Bart Scott said that Joe Schoen and the Giants are treating Saquon Barkley like a side piece. He also added that Joe Schoen should just tell Saquon that we're not that into you and move on. The reports Tuesday said that the Giants are very unlikely to use the franchise tag on Saquon Barkley and more likely will use it on safety Xavier McKinney. Saquon previously rejected deals of $12.5 million and $14 million from the Giants. The New York Post reports that the Giants wanted to give him $23.5 million guaranteed over 2 years, or a 2-year deal, but Saquon rejected that too. The deadline to franchise tag a player is March 5th, and the deadline to sign a player to a long-term deal is March 13th. And I do want to bring in our guy right here, Fish. Fish, you can come in because I know you're a Giant fan. I definitely want to know your opinion to this. But before we get Fish's opinion and Jeff's opinion and even Speedy's opinion, I have a few things to say about this. I understand Bart Scott's on a radio show and he's on television and he right now is the face or one of the faces of ESPN radio. Congratulations. I think he has a great personality, but he's a New York Jet guy. That's what he is. He works for the Jets. He speaks for the Jets. He's everything to the Jets. Why the hell is he speaking for the Giants? What does he know? Is he inside? Does he have an inside source right now? Is he hanging out with Joe Schoen? Is he hanging out with Dable? Is he hanging out with Saquon? I doubt it, okay? I doubt it. Now, obviously, he has a love fest for Saquon Barkley because all season long with the Jets, I don't know if anybody was watching the Jets games. At the end of the game, he was bringing up Saquon Barkley. Oh, this would be a dynamic duo if next year we have Breece Hall and Saquon Barkley in the backfield, being that Saquon Barkley grew up a Jet fan. It's not going to happen. The Jets are not paying him $14 million. And the reason why the Giants aren't paying him makes no sense. You're going to pay Xavier McKinney. Yes, Xavier McKinney, a guy that was a second-round safety who, let's be honest, is not even a second tier, a third-tier safety right now, who is not worth the money he's probably going to get paid in the offseason. He's not worth $14 or $15 million. And I know what Jeff's going to say. It's not worth paying a running back. You can find running backs in the later rounds of the draft or undrafted running backs. But Saquon Barkley was 60% of their offense, and he's been the Giants' offense over the last 2 years, 3 years. And when he is in the lineup, he is 68% of the Giants' offense. So if you're sitting here right now today, if you're a Giant fan, do you want to see Saquon Barkley go to the Cowboys? Do you want to see Saquon Barkley go to Washington? Do you want to see Saquon Barkley, which there are rumors that he might go there, to the Eagles? I mean,
NFC spitting war.
If you really sit here today and you see Saquon Barkley in an Eagles uniform for the next 2-3 years, you won't be happy. If you're a Giant fan, you do not want to see the second pick a couple of years ago, was it 4 or 5 years ago, who finally has stayed healthy for the last 2 seasons. He really has. He's been healthy for the last 2 seasons. He's put up the numbers. He's done what he's supposed to do. He's asked the Giants to give him a 3-year deal. He wants to be paid Christian McCaffrey money. Now, is he Christian McCaffrey? Has he done what Christian McCaffrey's done over the last 2 years? No, he has not. And there's no fact. There's facts to those numbers. But here's the thing. Saquon Barkley, when you look at Christian McCaffrey, was Christian McCaffrey 68% of the 49ers offense this year? Was he? The answer is no, he was not. They have Kerry Kittle. I'm not Kerry Kittle. George Kittle. I'm sorry. They have George Kittle.
That'd be something if they had Kerry Kittle.
They would be pretty. He'd be pretty athletic over there at 6'6". But anyways, you would have George Kittle. You have Deebo Samuel. You have Brandon Aiyuk. You have all these offensive weapons right there. So honestly, you sit here today and you kind of compare it and you contrast this right now. The Giants need Saquon Barkley. They absolutely need him. And if they go into the offseason and they're going to take chances with a Nick Chubb or Derrick Henry, how do you know they're going to fit that offense moving forward?
Yeah, and you look at the market for the running backs now getting stiffer with potentially the Browns cutting Nick Chubb as well. And that's why this kind of toying with Saquon Barkley as it is makes the Giants look bad. So I don't think Bart Scott's necessarily wrong in that statement. Yeah, you're right. He's more of an expertise on the Jets.
A side piece?
Yeah.
What are they sleeping with him?
Maybe, but regardless, the Giants have definitely done this wrong from the start, where I think maybe the overperforming of them in the 2022 first half of the season kind of changed the original plan they were going to have. I think they were to trade Saquon at that trade deadline anyway, but the Giants started so hot that they couldn't do it, and they had no wide receivers whatsoever. They had to break out Daniel Bellinger for the first half of that season, and that was their entire offense. And Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year, good for him, but still, it wasn't something that was sustainable, and you saw that in year 2. And now they're stuck with him, either going to lose him for less value if they do trade him and franchise him, or they're going to lose him for nothing.
What do you do? If you're the Giants right now, do you sign Saquon Barkley or you let him go?
Again, the Giants.
Just stop beating around the bush. Do you sign him or you let him go?
I'm worried they're going to have to sign him for more than he's going to want.
Do you sign him or do you let him go?
I think at this point they're going to have.
So you're going to just let him go. You're going to let go of a player that was 68% of your offense.
Their relationship's doomed at this point.
But you can just give him the money. Give him the $14 million. Give him the $14 million for 3 years. You're not going to have to pay him for all 3 of those years. Give him that third-year player team option. Give him a 2-year deal. Pay him the $28 million. Guarantee him $28 million. And that third-year option is a team option. If he has a good 2 years, then you give him the team option.
I'm fine with that. Let's hope he takes it, though.
He would take that. I guarantee you if he's making $14 million a year. No incentives. Guarantee him $28 million. I guarantee you he takes that.
All right.
That's the move, Errol. There's so many deals that, you see it on surface value 3 for 36. Well, how much is guaranteed? And a lot of it is perception. It's the market. If you give him somewhere around 25 of whatever that number ends up being guaranteed, he'll take it. Now, they might have to play games because that's how it is right now with the running back market. He might have to let him test free agency, kind of, sort of, wink, wink, with the idea that, we'll match it within reason. But where is he getting money from? He was under 1,000 yards in 14 games, missed 3 games again. He's going to be 27. Where's the money coming from? He may end up under 30 million from whoever is offering it to him. So the Giants might get lucky here. And again, it's a dangerous game with a guy. God forbid he goes to Dallas, man.
He's going to. He's going to the NFC East team. Guaranteed.
Please just go to the AFC or something.
He's
go
not.
Run for Harbaugh.
He is going to stick it to the Giants. He's going to make sure he sticks it to the Giants because I've heard the Eagles and I heard the Cowboys. Those are the 2 teams that are absolutely going to make a run for him if he becomes available.
It's an NFC East tradition, Fish. The Commanders do it all the time. Washington loves
doing it. Could you imagine him behind that offensive line? Right? Could you imagine? Yeah. Could you imagine Saquon Barkley behind the Eagles' offensive line? Mm-hmm. Could you imagine
how drafting him in fantasy second overall?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you want to talk? You were speaking that Saquon Barkley didn't break 1,000 yards behind that offensive line. He's going to have 1,400 yards.
Oh, easily.
1,400 yards. And they love to run the ball in the red zone. Who do you think is going to be fed that ball? Who do you think? They love to run the ball in the red zone. They're going to, what do they call it? The tush push? They don't even need to do that if they have Saquon
They have an
Barkley.
even better counter to the tush push now.
I mean, Saquon Barkley is going to be a beast over there with the Eagles. And I'm telling you right now, that's what's going to happen. And the Giants are going to regret not giving him that contract. You don't have to overpay him. Just give him what he wants. He wanted $14 million. That's what he wanted. Give him a guaranteed $28 million, 3-year with a 3rd-year team option. Give him that, and he will be happy with that. He will take that and maybe add a couple incentives. He would be absolutely ecstatic about that. You're talking about $2 million of incentives. If he breaks 1,200 yards, he has over 10 touchdowns, and he touches the ball 200 times. You give him that extra $2 million. I would do that. That's $16 million. He's worth every penny of it. As he's been the Giants' offense, he's been the Giants' 2nd-tier offense, he's been the Giants' 3rd-tier offense. They don't have anything. What are they going to go with? But they're gonna give Xavier McKinney the money? What are they nuts?
I think they'll franchise tag him and trade him too.
What are they nuts?
I don't think Joe Shane wants to keep him. It wasn't his
Xavier
pick.
McKinney. This is the same. This is the same guy the Beef wanted over CeeDee Lamb.
Good. We can trade him to the Cowboys.
Oh, I know. Jeff loves that. I know Jeff loves that.
McKinney's also been on social media.
Like, you can't mention McKinney over CeeDee Lamb and the beat. Like, that dude knows less about football than anything else on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, just bringing that up is just hilarious.
And McKinney had a great year too. I'm not bashing what McKinney did, but he's not. CeeDee might have had the best year for a wide receiver this year.
Dude, McKinney's not even a top 10 safety
I know.
in the
I'm not
league.
disputing that.
Great year? That's not a great year. You got to be.
McKinney had a good second half of the year. If you look back, he was god awful the whole first half of the season. Like, he was almost unplayable to the point they almost benched him. And something happened. He came out and said something that maybe it had to do with the wink crap that was going on, but he played better second half because I think he started hearing the contract though. I was like, oh man, I gotta start playing, but I don't, who wants that guy? Saquon, on the other hand, fought through everything, says the right stuff, says he wants to be a Giant for life. He said that as recent as like 2 weeks ago.
Saquon said that. Saquon said he wants to be a
did.
Giant for life. Xavier, have you heard that from Xavier McKinney? Xavier McKinney.
Goodbye.
First of all, and we all know where Xavier McKinney came from, okay? We all know what college he played for. And
your favorite school, Jeff.
Yes, your favorite school. Okay?
That's false. I don't have a favorite school.
But we know where he comes from, and we know his personality. And we've seen how many Giants have we seen come from that school and decide to flee the Giants and then go back to the Giants after they fell? How many times have we seen that? So and that's what Xavier McKinney is. To me, he's not the game-changing safety. He's not one of those guys. He's not an all-pro safety. Saquon Barkley is a game-changing player. He changes the game. When a team is trying to, plan to play the Giants, who are they trying to stop? Are they trying to stop all those terrible wide receivers the Giants have? Come on, who stands out on that rotation of wide receivers?
That's all good. Right, but you're basing everything off of the past, and that's going to change in the future. Like, more than likely, the Giants are drafting a wide receiver in the first round, like Malik. Right, so like their offense is going to shift. They're going to add some players. Like, if you were to rank positions on the team, what's the most important position to the least important position?
Right now, the league would say that the running back is the least important position.
Right. So you can always get guys. There's other guys out there that are really good free agents that can still come in and do the job while you draft some guys and train them. Like, are you going to honestly tell me that if you let, and I don't know what the numbers would be or whatever, but we can probably guess that Saquon Barkley is going to get more money than Derrick Henry.
Yes.
Are you telling me? Are you telling me that the Giants wouldn't be just as good with Derrick Henry next year?
But I don't know how
Derrick Henry and what else?
But here's the thing: I don't know how Derrick Henry fits in that offense. I mean, he's learning a new offense.
Derrick Henry's been the best running back in football for the past
he's a power back.
Years.
He's a power back that comes from a team that really depended on him for everything. And you're going to say that about Saquon. I know that's what you're going to say about Saquon.
And you've seen how replaceable running backs are. Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the game. They traded for a 6th-round Patriots bum running back and brought back Kareem Hunt, who no team in the NFL wanted. Every team had a chance to sign him. He was sitting on the couch at home and still came in and ran the ball well for Cleveland. Running backs are replaceable. Don't pay them the money.
I disagree. And we've argued about this, Jeff. And again, when I look at Christian McCaffrey, and everybody keeps saying how great Christian McCaffrey is, I could say that about Saquon
Did he win the Super Bowl?
No, he didn't. But
played great in the Super Bowl.
He played great.
Well,
And if they won the Super Bowl,
160 yards.
How about this? 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 How about
The
this?
Chiefs won the Super Bowl, but it wasn't Christian McCaffrey's fault the Niners lost.
If Kyle Shanahan actually ran the ball in the second half of the game probably would have ended a lot quicker than it did.
Right, and look at the teams that have won the Super Bowl. It's all been running back by committee teams, which it was again this year with CEH and Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon.
Hilaire barely did anything this year.
He played really well when Pacheco was down hurt. Running back by committee, that's what happens. If Barkley gets hurt, who's behind him?
Matt Breida. Oh, yeah.
Right, that's why I'm saying don't pay him the money, pay a bunch more guys, draft some guys, do it by
Jeff, Matt
committee.
Breida hasn't been good in 4 years.
For that $14 million, you could sign 3 other running backs, and then you would also have depth.
I'm going to tell you this right now. If Saquon Barkley was on that Kansas City Chiefs team, they would be even better at the running game. Could you imagine Saquon Barkley behind that offensive line? Could you imagine that?
And think about that, too.
I don't know, man. Pacheco's pretty studly, dude.
Pacheco is not Saquon Barkley.
Jeff,
Stop it.
Jeff, also think all the examples you brought up so far.
That's not true.
Including the Browns that didn't win the Super Bowl. But you mentioned every other team that won the Super Bowl. They have light years ahead of an offensive line better than the Giants.
Honestly, right now, and I'm not speaking of this because I'm not a Giant fan, I think Saquon Barkley's still a top 5 running back.
Yeah.
And if you would ask me right now, when you look at Christian McCaffrey, if Saquon Barkley right now was on the San Francisco 49ers, he'd have almost identical numbers as Christian McCaffrey. That's just my opinion. And I love Christian McCaffrey.
Too much money, man. Ties up too much money. Let him go. Do your thing. Pay McKinney because it's a more important position. I'm not saying McKinney's a better player. Like, that's not at all what I'm saying. But it is a more important position. Draft better, reconfigure your offense so he isn't 57% or whatever stat you're throwing out, but that he's a percentage of the offense. And maybe that's why the Giants think. Maybe they're just a one-trick pony and every team knows what they're doing. Maybe that's why they blow.
But, Jeff, you want to use that logic. Besides the Buccaneers, who had good safeties, did any team really win a Super Bowl recently with good safeties either? Like the Rams safeties, who were they? They had a bunch of backups playing, and Jordan Fuller was pretty good.
Patriots did pretty well.
Patriots, all right, fine. Patriots did well, but besides the Patriots and Buccaneers,
that wasn't that long ago.
Okay, fine. All right, the Patriots and the Buccaneers.
And the Rams.
The Rams did not have great safeties that year.
Yeah,
they had good corners. They had good defensive line.
But the Super Bowl point, moreover, Speedy, is that teams that do running back by committee are the teams that win the Super Bowl. Go and look at. Go pull up.
Fine. The last one. All right. The last one was probably the Seahawks. Okay, fine. I can understand that, but I think it also could say with other positions too.
It's like one out of the last 15 years, dude.
Well, you
All
say
the other
committee,
Super Bowl winners.
but you say running backs by committee. It was Pacheco throughout the Super Bowl and throughout the playoffs. It's been Pacheco. It was nobody else.
Also, you CEH and McKinnon.
Oh,
Certainly.
very, very little.
McKinnon only played
Very
like
little.
a few snaps, man.
Yeah.
Like
Very
Jeff,
little.
this is Fish. Nice to talk to you, Jeff. Listen, I get something that bothers me. Like, you didn't mention 1 3-down running back to compare Saquon to. There's 2 different types of running backs. You're talking about the committee stuff, but there's only a handful, and Chubb was one of them, of 3 before he got hurt, of 3-down running backs. And that's so valuable to a team, captain of the team. There's so many intangibles. Doesn't have to come off the field. You don't have to make substitutions. You can go hurry up. You don't have to worry about things like that.
That's exactly what you're describing is exactly the problem.
You're more versatile. Why would that be a bad thing?
So then when he gets hurt, we have nobody else.
Well, I mean, draft better, obviously, But
Oh, yeah,
I mean, look, the Giants stink, but they had 8-man boxes on him because everyone else on the team was terrible. And that's why. And you're going to blame him for everyone else being terrible, not getting open, being washed up, having bad quarterback play.
Awesome. Great point.
Maybe they should draft better first-round receivers, Jeff, and not draft the great Kadarius Toney.
Awesome. Great
They had
point.
Micah
8-man
Parsons.
boxes. You know who doesn't give a fuck about an 8-man box? Derrick Henry.
He also doesn't catch the ball, and Saquon does.
And he's also 30.
Derrick Henry catches the ball just fine. And by the way, that's exactly the point. The Chiefs, all these other teams that have won, they all have a third down pass catching running back. If you don't invest $14 million into one guy, like I just said, you could pay
Saquon's one of the best in the league.
$5 million a year.
Maybe they should draft a better team around them too. Maybe the Chiefs are actually a well-built roster.
maybe
The
they
Giants
should
aren't.
suck.
You're going to draft Malik Neighbors and be fine, dude.
I hope so.
Here's the thing. And Malik Neighbors, he's going to be a great player in this league. We saw him in LSU, and we've seen LSU
Let's hope so.
wide receivers come out, and Ohio State, LSU, and I believe LSU, Alabama, and Ohio State have the best wide receivers. They always do. Every 10 years, if you look at the best wide receivers in the league, they come from those three schools. And I do believe Malik Neighbors is going to be fantastic, but it might take a year. It might take 2 years for him to develop. Is Daniel Jones the guy? And are you going to trust if you're going into the season with Daniel Jones?
That's more the problem than who the running back is.
But that hides the deficiencies of the quarterback. It does when you have a running back that good.
All you're doing is explaining the Dallas Cowboys to me. I've been complaining for years, and this is no shot at the Cowboys. I'm not doing that. I'm not taking any shots at the squirrel. I'm not doing any of that sort of stuff. Dude, what's been the Cowboys' problem? Oh, we're going to give Zeke Elliott all this money so that we can't pay anyone else. So when he gets hurt, what do they have? Dog shit. Don't do it. Don't be the Cowboys.
Nick's
go ahead. I was going to say the Cowboys are still a much better built roster than the Giants.
Nick said
but that's my point. They have other problems. So save that money and
can we cut it with this? We all know. We'll find out what's going to happen before the draft. Wherever Saquon decides to go, or wherever the Giants decide to part ways with him or bring him back, we will find out before the draft.
Load him into a cannon and shoot him to the moon. And you can't worry about where Saquon Barkley, he's going to go to the Eagles. You can't worry about where he's going to go. You need to worry about making your own team better. That's it, point blank, period. If you become a better team because he's not there, do it.
Well, good luck, because I don't think the Giants are going to be any better.
Good luck? It happened in Houston.
They would have been like 1-15.
First of all, they got rid of Deshaun Watson because of all the craziness that happened off the field.
And they became a better team because they were going to be.
They got lucky. They got lucky. They got lucky with C.J. Stroud. They did.
A ton of times. It's happened a ton of times with a ton of players. How'd J.C. Jackson work out when he left the Patriots and went to the Chargers, signed that huge contract? How'd that work out?
Jeff, let me ask you a question. How many teams over the years get two franchise quarterbacks like the Texans have? How many teams have we seen that from 1 year they lose one and then they get another one 2 years later? How many teams have we seen that happen? Because I can tell you one team over here in New York that still can't find one. So
but I could also name another team that's had very much a seamless transition because he had a good year last year. But look, the transition from Favre to Rodgers and now Rodgers to Jordan Love has been seamless.
Right now it looks good. Right now it looks good.
No. I said right now. I'm not arguing that it was right now and it could all blow up. I'm not arguing that point. But they've had two seamless transitions between three quarterbacks now. There are teams that figure it out, dude.
Yeah, but there are organizations that are I guess quarterback smart, but there are other organizations that are not very smart when it comes to that position. And I don't want to get into
that's where Joe Shane and those guys need to figure out how to build that roster. And it starts by not overpaying for a running back.
I don't think you're overpaying. I don't think you're overpaying a guy that touches the ball 68% of the time and he's everything to your offense.
He only touches the ball 68% of the time because he's been the only one on the team. If they're drafting Malik Neighbors, I'm imagining they're going to throw him the ball a couple of times.
Listen, I hope.
So then all of a sudden,
I hope he becomes a great player, man.
68% of the offense, does he?
Who was the last wide receiver the Giants have drafted that turned into anything good? Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham. And how long ago was that?
2014.
Right. But
I rest my case. 10 years ago.
Is that even the case? Because he had a couple of good years and he's been dog shit since.
But
the
injuries.
start of his career was good. Right. So they got rid of him just in time. I wouldn't consider Odell this great receiver that's gone everywhere and been successsuul.
No.
He hasn't been.
No, he failed with the Browns. He failed in Cleveland. And he actually played well for the Rams when he went there. And he could.
Right,
he probably,
a little bit of time.
Yes,
and he failed with Baltimore.
Yes, he did. And
right. So it's been a disaster.
Hey, he was hanging out with a Kardashian.
He had a couple of good years and he's living off the reputation of a strong rookie season. That's all he's doing.
Nick Saban told ESPN's Reese Davis that even though he's retired from coaching, he still wants to be a voice of change in college football. Saban says he still wants to do his part to bring reform, uniformity, and common sense into college football. He said, what we have now is not college football as we know it. You hear somebody use the word student athlete, that doesn't exist. Adam Schefter reports that many college coaches have decided to join NFL teams because they are tired of the NIL deals and transfer portals. So far, 23 college coaches have left their teams to take NFL jobs, including Jim Harbaugh as head coach of the Chargers.
That's why he took it.
I'm going to say this. Nick Saban is not retired. He retired for a year. He wanted to step down. He wanted to step away, whatever. He wants to spend some time with his family, his grandchildren. This guy's a lifer. I do believe that. And something tells me that we're going to see Nick Saban have another job or take another job in the very near future. And right now, I don't know if it's going to be with college football. I could see maybe the NFL. I don't know if he's going to be a coach in the NFL, but I'm going to tell you this right now. If Bill Belichick gets an offer, if he takes a job, I could see Nick Saban being part of that coaching staff. I could. He loves the game. He loves the game so much. And right now, he wants to be a voice for college football. For him to say that he wants to be a reform and unify the game of football and try to bring back what football and college football was, it's not going to change. It's not going to change for where it is. If anything, there's going to be more money, more NIL deals, and more opportunities for these kids to make money. That's the way it is, and that's the transition now. It's been going on for years, but under the table. Now that the money is out there, now that there's organizations and endorsements and advertisers willing to put money on the line for these players. Look, Caleb Williams, do you know how much money he made this year as a college football player? He made $6 million. $6 million. If Caleb wanted to play one more year in the NCAA, he probably would have made $10 or $12 million. He doesn't even need to play NFL football. If you weren't really asking me right now, if Caleb Williams never wants to play football again, his family and him are probably safe. They're fine for the rest of their lives. So with the NIL deals and even these portals, transfer portals, and you heard Deion Sanders many, many times come out and say he will never coach an NFL football team. Never. I'm going to tell you this right now. His son is going to the NFL next year. So is Hunter. Those are Travis Hunter. I'm going to tell you this right now. Give it 2 years. Give it 2 years. Deion Sanders will be a head coach in the NFL. Guaranteed. Book it, seal it, whatever you want to do with it. It's going to happen. And I do not believe Nick Saban is done. And I think he's done with college football. And he will say whatever he wants. You're going to see him on College Day, College Game Day. He'll be on ESPN. He'll do everything. He'll be there for the Rose Bowl, whatever. He's going to be on television because that's what he does. He doesn't want to be away from it. But he's not Rex Ryan. He's not going to step away for 5, 6, 7 years. The guy is what? 70-something years old, 73, 75. I don't know how old he is, but I do believe he has a lot left in the tank. He decided to step. What I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, he's not done. I'm telling you.
72.
Yeah, he's pretty done. He's going to be a consultant at Alabama. He just bought a beautiful house in Jupiter, right? He's relaxing with the family. He's playing a bunch of golf. Good for him. My favorite part of the whole scenario is that Dabo Swinney did not get the job at Alabama. That makes me entirely too happy because Dabo Swinney suffers from the incurable condition of being a little bitch.
Yeah, they hired I don't know if there's any other like Alabama ties that are like even deeper back, but they hired somebody that wasn't even on his tree. Everyone thought it was going to be somebody at least from this tree.
He loves crying. He really does. Dabo Swinney with this NIL deal, he's been this guy's making how much money? 10 million a year, 9 million a year, and he's crying that some of his players are jumping the transfer portal and leaving Clemson because they don't want to be there because they don't want to hear his crap on the sidelines. I mean, this guy, and I used to like Dabo Swinney, but when I've heard stories about him off the field, the guy's the biggest crybaby. We've heard.
Oh, it's terrible.
He's
it's
honestly big crybaby.
He's tied for the league lead with the bead and whining. It's unbelievable how bad this dude is a bitch.
Maybe the Giants
choked on my water.
Maybe the Giants should trade Xavier McKinney to Clemson. Maybe the Beavs will be happy all around if that's his role model of a coach.
Could you imagine him go and coach the Cowboys?
Oh, CD Lamb will be traded for a third-round pick.
But the Beef doesn't watch college football, so he doesn't even know who Dabo Sweeney is. He'd probably be happy. He'd probably, oh my God, we got Dabo Sweeney.
The only reason Beef doesn't watch college football is because he's too dumb to even figure out how to turn the TV on.
Keith in the comment section has a little bet for you. I will bet you on Deion Sanders not going to the NFL.
Oh, that's good. That's
I would agree with that. He's got too many health issues. He's about to get his foot cut off.
Well, but just so you know, Keith, there were 2 teams that reached out to him, and one of them actually interviewed him for a job this offseason. So for you to think if the right job comes along, if his son gets drafted next year in the first round, and it's a team that is looking for a head coach
going in the first round,
definitely going in the first round. Absolutely.
Go and look at next year's quarterbacks. There's only 2 quarterbacks in that entire.
No, I'm saying that, but if he goes to it, and if you look at it, it's not going to be Chicago. Chicago's not going to draft another quarterback if it's Caleb Williams or whoever they decide to go after. But whoever is going to be that number 1, number 2, or even number 3 pick, they're probably going to be looking for a coach. They probably are. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Deion Sanders will go wherever his son goes. He wants to coach his son. And if it's a team that's looking for a coach, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be Deion Sanders if they're looking for a quarterback as well. I'm telling you.
What makes you think he can even coach?
I don't think he can. I don't think he can.
He had an abysmal year in college. He got his ass kicked.
Listen. I'll be the first person to tell you and throw him under the bus that I don't think he could coach a Division I team, like a top end Division I team. And Colorado's not even in a big division, in a big conference. They're not in the SEC. They're not in any of those big divisions. So I agree with you. I don't think he's any good.
Here's a fun hot take for you. Not that he's not a good coach. I think that his ego got the better of him, that he thought he was just going to go to a large program. Not that Colorado's like a big time program, but like they're, bigger, right? And I think that he believed the kids were just going to transfer to him, and it didn't happen. And he didn't put in the work to actually do the recruiting.
I'm going to tell you this. He's going to have a better season than he did last year. And I think they'll be... okay, it's false. I do believe they're going to have a good season. This is the final year for his kid or his kids.
They haven't gotten anyone. They haven't gotten better.
Right now they haven't.
The school's gotten better.
Right now they haven't, but they still have a pretty good team. They have probably the number 1 pick in the draft next year in Travis Hunter. That guy's the number 1 pick next year. He can play wide receiver and corner. That guy, and he's a game changer.
Also, he got hurt, and when he got hurt, there was nothing else.
Concussion. He had concussion problems.
It wasn't that he got hit. It was the sternum hit against the Colorado State.
Yes, and then he had a concussion after that. And he's had 2 concussions in 2 years, Travis Hunter. And that's the problem.
A team with one guy isn't going to be a good team. They're going to get their asses kicked again this year. Watch.
I'm telling you right now, mark my words, you could book it and seal it. He's the number 1 pick next year's draft. I guarantee it. And that guy, how many players do we know in NFL history that could play multiple positions? This guy could be a punt returner.
Level,
This guy could be a punt returner. This guy could be a top corner in the league, a number one corner in the league, and a number 1 wide receiver in the league. And I don't know if teams are going to use him as that. And where does he go into the draft? Does he go in as a wide receiver? Does he go in as a corner? Does he go in something else? I don't know.
I don't think it really matters.
He's a corner.
You think so?
He's probably better as a corner, but he definitely still could go in as both and still be fine.
No, look, will they have packages where they run plays for him on offense? I'm sure they probably will to some extent. He's a corner.
It's so interesting.
It also depends on where he goes, too, like how much they'll need him to play wide receiver, whatever team that ends up being, because, again, it's very difficult to tell.
Speedy, I love you, but guys can't stay healthy playing one side of the ball.
I'm not saying like a lot of reps.
Yeah, and if you're an organization and you're spending a first round number 1 draft pick on a player, you don't want him to play multiple positions. Now, like Jeff said, they'll use him in some offensive packages if they need him to do that. Especially if they lose a wide receiver or a running back, they need that offense. They're going to go through him. But I agree with Jeff. You're not going to invest that number 1 pick for a guy that's going to play multiple positions.
Well, again, you also depends on the game scenario.
It's probably why they're not going to use him as a kick returner either, because that's a
right position. Now that I will give you, Jeff.
He's a good kick returner too, man. He really is.
Because I mean, that's great. That's great. But like that would be like suggesting just this year, oh, Marvin Harrison Jr. is really great. Let's let him.
No, I agree with you, Jeff. I mean, Darrelle Revis was a good punt returner and kick returner. When he came into the NFL, the Jets did not want him to be a punt returner or a kick returner. They only wanted him to play corner, and because they wanted to protect him, and he had a great career.
That job is honestly for the psychopathic people. Like, that's why Pac-Man was so great. He's probably one of the top psychopaths the league's ever seen, and that's why he was a good punt returner.
Well, Vince Young was pretty psychopathic too, man. That's why they were teammates together. They love going to those strip bars. Throw that money,
Jim
baby.
Harbaugh didn't
Throw
go to
that
the
money.
NFL. And Jim Harbaugh didn't go to the NFL because, that was like the best thing. No, he's running. He's running and hiding from all the punishment he was going to get in the NCAA.
And still
for being
could.
a serial cheater.
It still could. I was thinking there was going to be even more that comes out in the next 8 months.
No,
yes, dude. Do you know that when he was negotiating his contract with Michigan, when all of this was going on, he was negotiating another deal, and in that deal, it said, you can't fire me for all of the punishment that I'm going to get.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah. Yes. You said that when we had you on the show a couple of months ago.
I sent you the thing.
Yep. You said that. And again, Jim Harbaugh, he did a Pete Carroll. That's what Pete Carroll did. He knew there were going to be sanctions on USC, so he fled. He went to Seattle. Yep, he went to Seattle. He did win a Super Bowl. Maybe Jim Harbaugh finally wins a Super Bowl. He won a national championship, just like Pete Carroll. And then he fled, and maybe he wins an NFL Super Bowl over there with the Chargers.
Those 3 yellow stripes on the Michigan helmet, they run all the way down Jim Harbaugh's back. Coward.
And now I guess go to a team with a similar color scheme.
He's better in the NFL anyways. I think his scheme fits more in the NFL. Yes, he is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's going to be terrible.
I don't think so. I think he's going to make Justin Herbert even better than he is. Last year, I'm sorry, after seeing Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator over there, he has regressed. You're talking about one of the best. I do believe Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He regressed. He did not look good this year. He did not.
I don't know if it's a regression because Mike Williams got hurt, Keenan Allen got hurt, and it's also his.
Keenan Allen was on the field. He was healthy.
He only got hurt right at the end of the year. Yeah.
Keenan Allen was healthy.
And Mike Williams was hurt the entire year. They just gave him a big contract. He was hurt the entire year. Like Eckler was hurt for a good part of the year as well. Like, I don't think the regression is Justin Herbert so much as it's just all like learning new offenses is tough.
No, it's not Justin Herbert. It's the great Kellen Moore.
It was Kellen Moore, and now he's going to the Eagles. So I question that move. I don't understand that move.
Saquon will have to save his career if he goes over there.
Well, Sirianni's going to be fired at the end of that year, end of next year, anyways. It doesn't matter if they don't go to the Super Bowl next year. He is going to be fired.
Doug Peterson back to the Eagles.
I don't know about Doug Peterson, but I'm going to tell you this: the Jaguars too is probably going to look for another coach at the end of the season, and the next season as well. Because if Doug Peterson fails again to get this team in the playoffs and make a run with the talent that he has over there, he will be gone as well. I think there are quite a few. Robert Saleh will be gone next year if they don't get into the playoffs.
Never. Best coach in the league.
Robert Saleh will be gone. Dable will be gone next year if they don't get into the playoffs. There are going to be a lot of coaching jobs next year. And that's why if I was Mike Vrabel, I'm licking my lips. I'm licking my lips because I'm going to have the pick of the litter. So is Bill Belichick. Oh, yeah. And by the way, Bill Belichick is not retiring, and I don't care what anybody says. He's not getting another job.
I think it's already a done deal. I think Belichick's already the next coach of the Cowboys.
I think he's the next coach of the New York Giants. I don't care what anybody says or what he said, that the Giants are not the team to go to. He's always wanted to coach the Giants. Always. It's an organization he always wanted to coach for. And I'm telling you, that's where he's heading. You could seal it. And McCarthy's gone next year, by the way, too. McCarthy, if they don't
That's
get
what
to,
I said. That's what I said. Cowboys.
No, I again, Jerry Jones, but I don't know if they're going to work. And is Jerry Jones going to give Bill Belichick the GM position? Because he doesn't want to give it to anybody. And Bill Belichick is not taking a job where he has no say on the personnel. You know that, Jeff. He's always been that way.
Right. Then he's taking no job because every other job has a GM. Like, no job is just going to hire him.
The Giants might not have a GM. The Giants will. The Giants will do that. They will.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I think
so will the Jaguars. So will the Jaguars.
I think it's a better fit because I think that you'd be. But here's my theory. You can call me crazy when I'm done here. I think Jerry Jones is getting ready to hand it to Stephen Jones, and who better to help bring him along with Jerry than Bill Belichick to kind of go this? Because Bill Belichick, if he comes back, what's he got left? 2 years, 3 years? How much longer is he going to coach into his 80s? I mean, come on. Right. So I don't think he's long for that job.
He wants he wants to break the Don Shula record.
Right. I think he'll probably coach for 3 years and maybe like Bruce Arians did, kind of transition in a front office role after that.
Yes.
Maybe.
That's why I thought he was going to stay with the Patriots. I did. I did not think. But again, there were stories coming out, and Jeff, you were saying it too, 5 weeks, 6 weeks into the season, that even though they gave him an extension that nobody knew about in the offseason, that he was probably on his way out. Him and Robert Kraft were not seeing eye to eye. And there were stories coming out that Robert Kraft and his son weren't seeing eye to eye with Bill Belichick. And Robert Kraft is giving the reins to his son very soon, that he's going to be running the organization too.
He's another Jerry Jones, dude. They're both old and like wobbling around. Like eventually they're going to just have to pass it off.
By the way, I've been watching the Dynasty, the New England Patriots. It's fantastic.
Terrific.
It is a fantastic documentary. I still have to watch the third and fourth. I haven't seen it.
The episodes haven't aired yet. I've watched the whole thing, but the episodes haven't aired. Yeah, the episodes haven't aired yet, but wait until they get to the Aaron Hernandez part. Woof.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm telling you right now, I watched the Dynasty of the Lakers, and now I'm watching, they made this Dynasty with the New England Patriots. And I think the next Dynasty will probably be the Kansas City Chiefs, the next one that they make. But maybe somebody else, but maybe the Yankees. I haven't seen any of that come up, but we've seen this before. So this is the trend now, but I love it. I've watched the first 2 episodes. Fantastic. Some of the things I didn't even know. Some of the things I did not even know about the first Patriots Super Bowl. So it's very interesting. It really is. I haven't seen anything. I haven't watched episode 3 or 4 yet. It is out. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but it looks good. And guys, I'm telling you, I'm not a New England Patriot fan. Definitely go watch that. Go watch that documentary. It is a fantastic documentary. It really is. And that's coming from me, who can't stand the New England Patriots. So
two Jets fans reuniting on documentary.
He's not a Jet fan. Get out of here.
I 100% am. You've converted me.
Get out of here. What drugs are you on? I don't believe that.
Right, all right, so hold on. Let me ask this question then. Who's more of a fan of their team? Mikey C being a Patriots fan, or Jeff being a Jets fan?
Mikey C.
It's easy as me being a Jets fan.
Mikey C. Mikey C.
I'm a huge Jets fan.
Mikey C. Because Mikey C is a front runner. Okay, I'm going to sell you guys, and Mikey, you could be listening to this. You can cut this, Speedy. And you could post this up as a short. You too, Fish. I love Mikey. Mikey's my boy. I mean, we were partners for 5 years. Love the guy, and we're in touch. We're best friends. We're great friends. Mikey C. Okay, for years, and I'll say this: he loved to get under my skin about the Celtics. I can't stand the Boston Celtics. Can't stand them. Out of all the teams in professional sports, I can't stand the Boston Celtics. He's a big Boston Celtic fan. But when he wore that Patriot shirt and he's wore Patriot jerseys in the studio to try to sell me that he just transferred into a Patriot fan because the Giants sucked and they couldn't get over the hump for the 3 or 4 years after, the Eli Manning decided to retire, or, they were Tom Coughlin, they decided to part ways. I'm going to tell you this right now. He is the biggest front runner I've ever seen in my entire life. He would wear the jersey. He would wear the shirt just to piss me off, floss it, shake it up in front of my cameras and everything like that. I can't stand when he did that. I couldn't stand it. And by the way, I hate the beef because I lost the bet and I had to wear that.
Does.
I couldn't. I had to wear a Tom Brady jersey during the show. A Tom Brady jersey. And he took a picture of it, and he actually, to this day, loves to share it with me when he wants to piss me off.
And Jeff, who would ever do such a thing? Would torture somebody wearing a Tom Brady jersey? Only the beef, right?
I mean, I don't even want to get into like that kid because he's just, dude, like he makes Dabo Swinney look like amateur hour when it comes to crying. We're talking the biggest crier on the planet, that kid.
You just hate the beef. You hate the Jets too, by the way. I know you do. You're going to sit here. You hate the Jets. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it, Jeff.
And it's not that I hate the beef, but like if
you hate him.
Like here's the problem with the beef. If he had a tennis match with common sense would win in straight sets.
Hold on, Jeff. When we come back, we'll get into Buster Olney reporting that the Pirates have signed Mitch Keller to a 5-year, $77 million contract. We'll get into that. And the Mets, Senga, it could be out a significant amount of time, first month of the season. So where do the Mets go? Maybe in free agency, a Blake Snell. I mean, we've been saying that. But first, Tommy Scoops with our Sports Minute.
This is the Sports Minute.
So you ready to get loud?
With Tommy Scoops.
Here I am, as promised, for an update. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Tommy Scoops with the Sports Loudmouth Minute Report. And for today's report, in NFL news, Steelers legend Terry Bradshaw actually said that he likes Kenny Pickett and that the team should actually build around him for the future to come. In other news, in the NFL, Titans wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is actually shutting down any sort of trade rumors or anything else, saying that he plans on fully staying with the Titans for the rest of his 2-year contract. Shifting over into the NBA, LeBron James is actually out tonight against the Warriors, resting an ankle injury. LeBron actually mentioned that he hoped it would get better during the All-Star break, but his future for the game is going to be in question. Switching over to the Wizards announced that they will be benching starting point guard Jordan Poole against the Nuggets. The team head coach Brian Keefe actually mentioned the move was about helping the group improve as a whole. So now, time to get into some scoops and scores. I'm going to give you a rundown right now of the current NBA games going on. Right now, Orlando has a 2-point lead against the Cavs, 75-73. Detroit is actually trailing against the Pacers, 73-90 right now, with New York Knicks actually leading 81-63 against the 76ers. The Toronto Raptors are actually leading 75-63 right now, going closer into the third quarter. And at halftime right now, the Phoenix Suns have a 3-point 63-60 lead over the Dallas Mavericks. Going into the halftime right now, the Boston Celtics have a 33-31 lead over Chicago right now, with Houston having a 38-37 lead over the Pelicans right now. That is currently all the time that I have for you guys right now. I'm going to send it back over to the boys for the Sports Loudmouth.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me, Speedy Petey, and Sean Smith every Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Sean Smith every Wednesdays, as he's right now at his daughter's basketball game. Shout out to Sean. Definitely go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. We are waiting. We're still, is Realus coming on?
I haven't heard from him.
All right, so it doesn't look like Realus is joining us tonight. So a shout out to Realus George Jr. We did have him on a show a couple of.
I don't think so.
Did we had Realus?
No, I think we had a different Missouri guy. I don't think it was him.
You sure it wasn't
I'm
Realus?
pretty sure it was.
I thought
he
Realus
just followed our network page like a month ago. I think he's a new guy. We did have a Missouri. I think a Missouri linebacker.
I thought he was on the show.
I think it was a different guy. I don't remember that name. I would have remembered his name. With a name as unique as his.
All right. Well. Realus, it doesn't seem like he's going to be on the show, so we have another guest that'll be joining us at 9:00. Ex-Raven Saints and Commanders and Jaguars defensive tackle Martin Chase. He's been on the show before. Great personality. He's a speaker right now. He's a guest speaker at so many different different organizations and events that he goes to. So we're looking to get Martin on the show. He's really, really smart, and he knows the game of football as good as anybody does. So we're very excited to have him on once again. ESPN Buster Olney reports that the Pirates have signed Mitch Keller to a 5-year, $77 million deal. The contract is backloaded, receiving just a $7.5 million this year, but then over $15 million each of the next 4 seasons. Keller was a trade target this offseason, linked to teams like the Yankees, the Braves, the Dodgers. In his last 3 years as a starter, Keller had a 4.41 ERA, a 1.41 whip, and 440 strikeouts. Keller is 26 years old. made his first All-Star game and had a 4.21 ERA, a 1.24 whip, and 210 strikeouts last season. Keller is a great young pitcher. The Yankees, of course, were in on him because the Yankees they love going after Pirates young pitching. And this is, and by the way, the Pirates and the Yankees make a lot of trades. So I wasn't surprised when you heard the Yankees being involved with this. The Braves and the Dodgers, we know they're going to be involved with it because they have farm systems are loaded. And right now, the Braves need to keep up with the Dodgers. And right now, if you look at the offseason the Dodgers have with Yamamoto and Ohtani, everybody thinks that the Dodgers are the favorites, but I disagree. I think that the Braves have the most talent. Their lineup, I think, is as good as any lineup in baseball from 1 to 7, 1 to 8. They're as good as anybody. The middle of their lineup is some of the best hitters in baseball. So I love what the Braves look like, but I think they need some pitching help. I do. And right now, Blake Snell is sitting there. Now, I don't think Blake Snell is worth $270 million. I don't think he's worth that. But if you can get somewhere close to $200 million or even $190 million, I think Blake takes that. I really do. But again, Bust Only reporting that Mitch Keller signs. How long do you think the Pirates are going to hold on to this kid? How long do you? Because they usually extend these guys. They did it with Garrett Cole, and what do? Eventually, they move him. So if he has a great year and the Pirates fall out, they fall out of the playoffs once again, which more than likely they will because they're in a division that is top heavy, and they're not going to win that division. I can see him on the trade block at the trade deadline. A Mitch Keller, a young pitcher who has a tremendous amount of talent, a strikeout pitcher, a power pitcher, and the Yankees like going after them. And by the way, the Braves are a team that has a tremendous amount of young prospects that are not ready for the big leagues, and they don't really need to bring them up. And these are position players. So, and they've brought up their good pitching. I think they have one good pitcher right now in their top 10 of their farm system. So the Braves could be a very, very much a team that could be going after a Mitch Keller. The Dodgers, they're always going to be a team that's in the grind, in the mix with good young pitching and good young players because they have the deferred money and they have the ability to make trades because of their farm system.
Right. And again, this is a pitcher that teams knew that they were going to be affordable because if the Pirates were going to pay him like they did with Brian Reynolds last year, they weren't going to get this massive contract as it was. Now, the Pirates have given out money to Brian Hayes as well. And I think they're taking on the model that we see a lot of these smaller market teams do. The Rays obviously tried to do that with Wander Franco and it backfired, but the Pirates, they won 75 games last year. Maybe they think they're progression, but it's also tradable enough where if it's that last year was just a fluke and they're still going to be a really bad team, they could still trade it again. And there's enough suitors right now, like we've been saying, based on his upside. And a lot of our guests that we've had on our show have mentioned Mitch Keller as a guy that is on the uptick in comparison to the other pitchers that are available in these trades. Dylan Cease, who had a bad year last year, Shane Bieber, and a lot of these other guys.
I'd beware of bringing in Dylan Cease.
Yeah,
I'd beware because there's one year he's good, and then there's another year he's absolutely horrendous.
Right.
And I've heard Dylan Cease's name being brought up with the Yankees. Stay away from Dylan Cease. He would not work very well in Yankee Stadium. It wouldn't work.
Right. He's a guy I actually was looking at for the Mets just because of the value of being so low, but I wouldn't trust him to be an ace at this point.
In City Fields, he'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I like his strikeout stuff, but again, he's very inconsistent. He had a really tough time adjusting to the new rules last year. The first half of the season, he was horrendous, and he finally found something in the second half. But Mitch Keller was a guy who adjusted to the new rules very well. I know his ERA is 4.21, but
he's a power pitcher.
It was kind of misleading. It was low threes most of the year.
It's on the Pirates.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to be I don't expect his ERA to be that good when he's playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, if he was playing for the Yankees or he's playing for a good defensive team like, I don't know, the Braves or even the Dodgers, his ERA is going to go down probably at least 1, maybe even 2. He's that good. And he's got the stuff. He's got 4 pitches. I've looked at this kid's pitches. His slider's unbelievable. His curveball is ridiculous. And his 4-seam fastball is as good as any fastball in baseball. I mean, he throws 98, 97. So the kid has a tremendous ability. And to give him a 5-year, $77 million that the Pittsburgh Pirates gave him, I mean, that's a steal. He's a young player. How old is he? 25? He's 27 years old. And he has a chance to be really, really good. And you can get a lot back for him. Now, if he has another good year this year and he has a little bit over 200 strikeouts. If you don't trade him at the trade deadline, maybe you trade him in the offseason. You can get a lot back for this kid. Pitching is so very important, and the guy's got a tremendous ability of striking out players and pitcher as far as power is concerned. And the Yankees have always looked for those power pitchers. Blake Snell is not a power pitcher. He's a finesse pitcher. That's what he is. And that's why I don't know if Blake Snell would fit in Yankee Stadium. It kind of worries me. And Blake Snell can't stay healthy, but he has pitched well in the American League East. Mitch Keller's never pitched in the American League East. And here's another. Beware of the Orioles, who has a very good farm system. Yep. You've seen what they've done. They have new ownership over there. If Mitch Keller becomes available at the trade deadline, I could see them making a swing at him too.
Mm-hmm. And Fishkin brings up a good point in our chat as well. The advanced metrics have been good for Keller, even though his traditional stats don't look as good on paper. And a lot of it was fluky because of a couple bad starts after the All-Star break, which is 100% true, Fish, because the numbers in the first half of the season, I believe his ERA was 3.26, and his traditional stats still look good in addition to having the good advanced stats. And that kind of thing can be deceiving when you look at a couple starts just rigging that kind of ERA. Look at somebody like Spencer Strider too. Spencer Strider had the highest strikeout rate we've ever seen in, I think, since Nolan Ryan or something like that. It was some crazy stat, yet his ERA was right near 4 because he had a bad last month of the season and had a couple of rocky starts. That kind of thing can be deceptive for how good a pitcher could get. You want to look at percentage for walk rate and percentage for strikeout rate, which Keller had a very good one this year. And like you're saying, on a pretty bad team that did not give him run support and made him kind of work longer in the games.
I mean, and again, with there's so many teams looking for pitching, looking for star pitching and power pitching. They're so very important. They're very hard to find and so very important to look for when it comes to free agency and even at the trade deadline. I don't know if Mitch Keller will be available at the trade deadline, but if he does become available, look what what type of player Corbin Burns is. Look what the Orioles had to give up for him. Nothing, really. Right. And I think Mitch Keller, and we've seen this before. And by the way, you mentioned Reynolds. Market, you could set it, you can sell it right now. Reynolds will be traded this year. He will be traded this year. They gave him an extension. He will be traded this year. And the Pirates are not going to be any good. So I could see Mitch Keller being traded at the trade deadline. They have a tremendous amount of good young talent. And their farm system's pretty damn good because they're always bad.
Right.
So look at Cincinnati. Look how long it took Cincinnati to become the team that they are now. They have some good young players. Cincinnati could be a playoff team this year.
I think they could win the division.
Yeah, they could be a playoff team this year with the talent that they have. They have a tremendous outfield right now. And they have all these young guys coming up. Their shortstop is one of the best young shortstops in baseball. So I expect Cincinnati to be up there. And right now, Pittsburgh, they want to start moving players. They want to start moving pieces right now and try to add some future talent to this farm system, which is already loaded.
Mm-hmm. At peak value, they're going to try to develop like the Reds because they've had a lot of these younger players. They've made some trades but again, they haven't worked out as well as some of these other teams have, these other younger teams, because they've made so many bad trades as well. And that's where I think has set them back a little more. But they have a kid in Henry Davis, who I believe is a top 10 prospect in baseball. I think at one point got to the number 2 prospect, who he's going to come up this year. They drafted a kid, and Jeff, you watch a lot of college baseball. You remember how good Dylan Cruz was this year for LSU. Like, they just drafted him right now, and he's going to come up. I don't know if he'll come up this year, but he could come up next year. So they have a foundation. But again, if they don't do it right away in a weak division, if the Cubs are mediocre at best, the Reds might have the upstart, but the Brewers are trading everybody, and the Cardinals are old. So like, it's not a division that's like necessarily a great competition wise. But if they're still bad, they could still look at that maybe being a sign of concern.
Yeah, and
I mean, I think the Pirates could be better than, like, are they going to win the division? Probably not. But I think the Pirates could be a lot better than you probably think. You're mentioning guys they drafted. You mentioned the kid what about the kid they drafted last year, Paul Skeens?
Yes.
Paul Skeens,
oh, that's right. I forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Skeens could come right in, and they could have a formidable rotation. Is it going to be like a world beater? Maybe not, but I think they're going to win more games than you think because they have some talent on that team. Brian Hayes is a pretty good player. Yeah. O'Neal Cruz is a very good player. Like, they have some dudes there. Like, is it perfect? No. But, like, I think they'll be better than I don't think they're a last place team in that division.
No, I don't either. The Brewers will probably be last because they're going to sell everything off pretty much.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, how good are the Cubs going to be without Bellinger in the lineup? They're going to take a hit. The Cardinals aren't all that great either. I don't think
they're a team of old men. They're like the Mets last year.
I don't think it'll take a whole lot to compete in that division. Oh, who's ahead of them? The Reds? I mean, come on.
Right now, the Pittsburgh Pirates have 1, 2, 3, 4 tier 1 players that should be coming up to the majors in the next 2 years. And a couple of them we've heard of. Tamar Johnson, the shortstop that everybody likes. Jared Jones is another one, the right-handed pitcher that everybody keeps talking. And they have a bunch of pitchers that are going to be calling. And as a matter of fact, they have one out of all the 4 tier 1 players that they have coming up. 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 are pitchers. 3 out of 4. So Mitch Keller
and
is
what wins baseball games?
Pitching,
Right,
absolutely.
That's why I'm saying, like, I don't think they're going to be this doormat that everyone thinks that they're going to be.
No, I don't think they are. But
no, they won 75 games last year. They well.
But there are other teams in their division that are pretty damn good, and they're also coming from the National League that is really top heavy, really good. I mean, Philadelphia.
But who's in their division that you think is good?
Right now,
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
The Cubs are kind of the same as what they are. I don't think they really.
I don't think
better.
so. I don't think
the Cubs got worse. No Bellinger. The Cubs got worse.
Yeah,
well, Bellinger did. Where did Bellinger sign?
Nowhere yet.
He's still a free agent.
Okay,
because like Snell, he's a major like up and down potential regression candidate.
Right, but the Cubs have already said they're not bringing him back because he costs too much for them. They've already invested money in other places, so
yeah,
he's not
and they need a lot of pitching. They need a lot of pitching because right now, besides Justin Steele, there's really nothing trustworthy in that rotation. Losing Stroman,
right? So think about that. They're not going to score as many runs, and they don't have pitching. What's that going to equal? More losses.
Yes, and Jeff, I would agree with you, but again, you're gonna bet that the Pirates are gonna be a team to beat right now in their division?
No, but I think that they can finish third in that division.
Yeah.
Yes, but we're speaking about making the playoffs. That's where we're looking at it, and again,
here's the other problem, like that maybe they can because the bar has been lowered for the playoffs. What does everyone make it in now?
6 teams.
6 teams make it. Yeah.
Right. So it may not be that hard because some of those other divisions, if you look at the West, how many, just being realistic here, how many teams are beating the Dodgers this year? Nobody? The Padres got worse. They were already bad last year.
The Braves will. I think the Braves are going to be dangerous.
But that's the East.
Yeah.
But that's the East.
Yeah, I got you.
Right? So, like in the West, everyone's going to get run over by the Dodgers. Like everyone's going to get run. They're going to have a ton of losses in that division.
I do not believe St. Louis is going to be as bad as they were last year. Okay, I don't. I think they have a very good farm system. And
they improve.
They didn't improve, but here's the thing: Goldschmidt wasn't 100% healthy last year, and Nolan Arenado. I think one way or another, they're going to try to move from that contract. I think there'll be a team out there, if he has a good season, if he can stay healthy, that they're going to move on from him and they're going to trade him.
That probably won't make, and if you're right about that, that won't make him any better.
No, but again, we don't know what they get for Nolan Arenado. Now, if
probably
Arenado
prospects.
Yeah, probably. And that's that more than likely could happen. But Milwaukee, again, is another team that we don't know what they're going to be. They did lose Corbin Burns. They did lose their coach. And
the heart of their team, they lost Rowdy Tellez.
Yes.
He went to the Pirates.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I think this is Cincinnati's division. If Cincinnati can start off strong, and they have a very good pitching staff, a good young pitching staff, I could see Cincinnati winning this division this year. And I don't know about the Cubs. I'm still wondering what they're trying to do. They tried to make some big moves after they bring in a new manager. They overpaid $9 million to. They didn't really add any big names to that roster. There were some talks that they were going after Ohtani. They were going to go after Juan Soto. There were stories coming out, but they struck out on those plays, and they have nothing. They're going into the season practically with the same roster. They lose Marcus Stroman. He goes to the Yankees. So again, this is a division that is up for grabs. But are you really going to bet that the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to win the division?
I'll tell you why I probably would bet it, probably because the number would be.
I know you would.
Yes, for the number.
Valid,
right? I like betting things for the number because here's the other part of that. Every team that you've mentioned has gotten worse.
Yeah.
The Cubs have gotten worse.
Yes.
The Cardinals probably getting worse and trading stuff off. Right. The Brewers have got worse. So what? They have to try to finish ahead of the Reds? No problem.
I woun't go no problem, but yeah, that would be the team that's the main competition because they're also getting pitchers back as well.
I would tell you this: with the prospects they have, I would be willing to bet that those guys could come up and surprise some people. And with the way the rest of that division shakes out, I don't think it's a crazy bet to go Pittsburgh wins the division.
Their three pitching prospects are in the top 20 right now in baseball.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I bet you Paul Skeens one of them.
Yes, he's the number one. He's their number one guy.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul Skeens, he's doing damage. And his girlfriend's a smoke show, Olivia Dunn. Oh,
she'll be at the games. She'll be right there, right behind the catcher.
MLB
she might be the catcher.
MLB will try to make it like Taylor Swift, except you're plays for the Pirates, so it's not going to make a difference.
I wouldn't mind her behind the mound.
But this is what I'm saying, though, is they have some good pitching prospects that if they come up and pitch well, and I realize that's asking a lot from young pitchers, like I get that part of it, but if that happens, they could sneakily win a bunch of games. And don't call back to this in like 6 months and go, oh, the Pirates stink. I'm not saying the Pirates are going to be good. I'm just saying I think it could be worth the bet because I'm looking around that division and I don't think anyone else has gotten better.
MLB.com's Anthony DeComo, reports that the Mets will shut down Kodai Senga for the rest of the spring training with a strain in his pitching shoulder. The Mets have announced a timetable for his return, but he is likely to be on the injured list for the first month of the regular season. Senga injured his shoulder this morning after sitting out workouts yesterday with arm fatigue. We've seen this before. David Stern says he doesn't expect Senga's injury to cause them to trade or sign any other starting pitchers. Senga was projected to be the ace of the Mets rotation this season after trading Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander at the trade deadline. Senga had a 2.98 ERA, a 1.22 WHIP, 77 walks, 202 strikeouts, and 166 innings pitched last season. I wanted to see what Senga was going to do his second year, his sophomore year, because I said it to you, Speedy. I believe Senga was going into the season last year. I thought he was going to be the best pitcher for the Mets. I did, because the way he pitches, the way he deceives and hides the ball, I thought teams and a lot of a lot of hitters were going to have problems seeing him and seeing the ball. And now you're going into your second year. That's when we see these Japanese pitchers either fall off. Look at Tanaka. Masahiro Tanaka was a good major league pitcher for the Yankees, but his first year, he was dominant. His second year, his sophomore year, wasn't as good. And maybe because of the partial tear in his UCL, he never got the surgery. Maybe it was that. But teams started to see him more and more. They had video. They had footage of him. And they can watch the way he deceives and he throws the ball. Now, Jacob deGrom, now obviously he's not a Japanese pitcher. Jacob deGrom pitched the same way he did for years, and people couldn't read his pitches, couldn't find his curveball, couldn't find his changeup, which he had probably the most dominant changeup I've ever seen. So, and something what Senga is good at, his number one pitch is his changeup, and it's very deceiving. But I wanted to see him in his sophomore year. Now you're missing him for a year. For a month, maybe a month and a half, 2 months with the shoulder fatigue. That usually, we've heard this, but believe it or not, there's a Yankee pitcher that's on this Mets rotation in Savarino. We heard shoulder fatigue, and then we heard shoulder surgery. Then he came back, and then he had a UCL tear, and he was out a significant amount of time. This is not a good sign for the New York Mets.
And fatigue is the other thing that dealt with Noah Syndergaard for a while with his shoulder. And he's a bigger, different body type. He's a lot bigger than Senga, so it's not ideal for that, especially the season. He decided to randomly work out and show off his muscles, and then he gets hurt again. But nevertheless, definitely not a good sign when it comes to somebody like Senga. That the Mets did well in certain instances of not pitching him as many innings, but still they're going to have to do it more because they don't have a lot of other trustworthy options in this rotation. If you're going to take another step as a major league pitcher, especially Senga, who's older too, I think he's 30 years old, and again, he's not coming in with a lot. He's coming in with a lot of miles on his arm from Japan. That's not going to help.
Lots of miles.
That's not going to help his cause long term for what the Mets need him to be, which they need him to be an ace realistically.
Just think about this. Yamamoto, he came in Japan. He became a professional at the age of 15 years old. 15 years old, he was a professional pitcher in Japan.
Yep.
How old is Yamamoto right now? He's 25 years old. Right. He's 25. Look at how much stress he has on that shoulder, on that elbow, on that arm. Okay. Now, we've seen this with Ohtani. He's a fantastic pitcher, fantastic hitter. And even if Ohtani never pitches again, he's a fantastic power hitter. He's a two-dimensional type of player. So you don't need to see him pitch. He still dominate the game by the way he hits the ball, with power, with his batting average, with everything that he does in the game. When you look at these guys, when you look at Yamamoto, you look at Senga, and all these other guys that are coming up from Japan, they're pitchers. That's all they are. And when you look at the torque they have on their arms and the way they throw the ball, I've never seen Japanese pitchers are so the way they throw the ball is so deceiving. Okay, they hide the ball so much by the way they throw their changeups and their curveballs. That's why they're so good in the major leagues. That's why they dominate the World Baseball Classic, because none of these hitters get a chance to see these guys all year long. And then they come into the major leagues, they see them 1 year, and then the second and third years, they figure them out. They start seeing them better, and they start hitting the ball all over the field. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Senga. I don't know if that's going to happen with Yamamoto. And look at Ohtani. Ohtani pitched better this year than he did the last 2 years. So maybe Ohtani's starting to figure out how to pitch against these hitters in the major leagues. But Ohtani's also a professional. You know what I mean? So these guys are coming into the league. Look at Senga. Senga came into the league at the age of 27. 28 years old. Yeah. And with the torque that he had, he became a professional Japanese pitcher at 17 years old, Senga. So that's 10 years of torque on his arm significantly. So that's what, if I was a Met fan, I would worry about this.
Right, especially when you have to rely on it being a major focal point of your team, because the Mets were supposed to be rumored for so many different other pitchers this offseason, and obviously they're going to be in a rumor for all the big names because Uncle Stevie could pay everybody too. And what did they end up getting? Not much of anything, because they had to trade for Adrian Hauser, who I like as a backup guy.
Still believe Corbin Burns could be a Met.
Okay. No,
I do. Okay. I don't care what anybody says. The Orioles have new ownership and they're going to pay Corbin Burns. I don't believe that, because Uncle Stevie will open up his pockets, and if he wants Corbin Burns, he'll get Corbin Burns. If he wants Fried, he'll get Fried. He could get whoever he wants. And I believe the Mets next year are going to open up their pockets wide open. I believe they're going to go after two pitchers. I think they're going to go after Juan Soto, and they might even go after another hitter.
Yeah.
So I could see them spending probably around $700 or $800 million just off of Juan Soto. You're talking about maybe $2 billion next year that I could see Uncle Stevie spending in the offseason.
Well, they have to figure it out with pitching, though, because the pitching is not very good in the farm system as it is. Most of the Mets prospects that they traded for from the two deals, the Scherzer deal and the Verlander deal, were all top hitters. Acuna's a shortstop, the two outfielders from the Astros. Those aren't pitchers. And that was the main thing I had an issue with the deadline. Even though the Mets got good value for these old guys that didn't pitch well, they pitched like third starters, as much as Snug wants to admit that Max Scherzer pitched well last year. He didn't. They got good value, but they didn't get any pitching.
He did not pitch well last year. I understand maybe they got a lot back for him. They did for what he was pitching last year. They got a lot back for him. And they got a lot back for Justin Verlander, who, by the way, wasn't the same pitcher. So, and I said that when they brought in Max Scherzer, I'm not going to go back to the analyst that we've had on the show, and she was fighting with me and arguing with me Max Scherzer was going to be special. I did not believe that, and I didn't believe Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander was better than Max Scherzer. He was better than Max Scherzer was for the Mets, but what they got, what the Mets got for for Justin Verlander was fantastic. So we'll see what these prospects turn out to be. Sometimes they don't turn out to be anything, even though they're on the list of the team's top list of their top 10 players and top 10 prospects. I don't know what. I know what Justin Verlander is going to be this year. I know what Max Scherzer is going to be. I think they're both guys at the tail end of their career. They're Hall of Famers. They're tail end.
Right.
Senga was going to be a very important piece to this Mets rotation. Very, very important. When you look at their rotation, and I know Fish had it up there, their rotation is garbage. They have nothing. What scares you? Kitana? Kitana pitched well last year.
He's fine as a second guy.
He's an old man. He's 37 years old. You're going to depend on a 37-year-old to be your number one guy? Luis Severino? I hope Luis has a good year. I don't care if he's not a Yankee. I want to see Luis Severino have a good year. Maybe he steps up and he helps out. They bring in Sean Manaea. He hasn't been a good pitcher since Oakland.
Right.
I
wanted for the Mets at the time when he entered free agency, but not anymore.
Adrian Hauser?
Back end
Tyler
guy.
McGill?
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
And then there's David Peterson's a wild card. If he
I
pitches-
like David Peterson.
if he pitches well like he did in
I
the
like
second
it.
half, that's going to help. But
I like David Peterson. I like him a lot.
But that's the point. You're gambling on so many wild cards. McGill is the same kind of thing. He pitches well for like 3 starts and then he disappears. And Hauser's all right as a fourth guy, but like that's what you're trusting.
I mean,
right
you were
now?
banking on Senga. You were banking on him to be your number 1 guy this year. And now I don't care what David Stern says. You have to look at another pitcher. You have to. You can't go into the season with this rotation unless you're trying to lose. Is that what they're trying to do? I don't know. Because if I was a Met fan, I'm not going to the game. I'm not paying. I'm not buying hot dogs or hamburgers or whatever the hell you're selling of it. But by the way, Speedy would definitely buy the sausages there, right?
I'll buy sausages at most Major League stadiums.
There you go. So you like the sausage. Dark sausages.
I will buy
So-
sausages at most Major League stadiums.
Dark
yes.
sausages. No of that tail white, right, Speedy?
I will judge accordingly when I go to baseball games.
So you'll take the dry sausage?
I will judge accordingly when I go to
Speedy, don't
baseball
fall-
games.
Speedy, don't fall for this. He's saying that you
Stop
like
it!
Dick.
Stop
This
it!
is what
Stop
he's,
it!
like,
Stop
referring
it!
to.
Yo, stop
This
it!
is
Stop
what-
it, Jeff.
He beats around the bush
Jeff,
with
I'm
this
not
all-
beating
oh,
around
you-
any
oh, you like
bush. I'm
sausage?
not.
You like
Listen,
sausage and all?
listen.
You like
I'm not
eat hot
beating
dog?
around any bush. First of all, and the only bush you're beating around is the bush that you can't get into.
Oh, your Krabby has a bush in his pool? Jeff, do you have a bush in your pool that we don't know about?
But this is what he's doing to you, Speedy. You're not picking up on it. But
Oh,
he's
here he
insinuating
goes.
these things all the time.
Don't listen to him.
This is what he
Don't
does.
listen to him. Don't listen to him. Speedy,
You
don't listen.
ask anyone. He's saying don't listen. Ask anyone
don't
else
listen
what
to
he's
him.
doing. That's what he's doing.
No, that's not true. It's not true, Jeff.
And I'm countering with the very little response I'm ordering. If I'm in the mood for a sausage, whatever, at a baseball game, I will go get it. Every park will cook it differently. That's
I
fine.
mean, dude, honestly, the sausage and peppers at every stadium.
I love them. I love sausage and peppers. As a matter of fact, I every time I go to a Yankee game, I get sausage and peppers. I love them.
They're
I love
elite.
them.
Yeah, they're elite.
Yeah, but you know what?
Elite baseball food.
I will say this: Citi Field has much better food than Yankee Stadium. I'm just speaking the truth here, I've been to both stadiums. Last year, I was at Yankee Stadium 3 times. I was at Citi Field about 4. I love the food at Citi Field. And by the way, the ice cream's better at Citi Field. The chicken fingers over there are better at Citi Field. So I'm a Yankee fan. I'm not trying to throw the Yankees under the bus. I just don't like their food over there. The Mets have much, much better food, and it's more family oriented.
Oh, definitely.
So I like Citi Field more than Yankee
Of course
Stadium.
it is. You can't go into the city. New Yorkers are the worst people on the planet, dude. Speedy, did you see the video?
I thought you were all in New York. I thought you were all in New York fan.
There
now,
you
Jeff.
go. What are you throwing them out
I
to?
am,
Throw
but
them
it
out to
doesn't
dry,
mean their
baby.
fans-
Throw them out to dry.
But it doesn't mean their fans aren't either. Speedy, did you
Let me
see
guess.
the
A
video
Knick
I sent
fan
you?
beat up a Net fan. Is that what it was?
Oh no, a Ranger fan
Ranger
choked
fan,
out a Ranger fan choked out a Devil fan.
Yeah, just like the one that
Walked
knocked out
right-
the Tampa Bay fan. I know, Jeff.
Walked up behind him and grabbed him from behind because New Yorkers, they're the best people.
But you root for all their teams, Jeff. You're one of them now.
I do. I'm a Mets fan. I'm a huge Mets fan, but won't go into the Bronx. Terrible people.
Yeah. And you're also the same person that says the Major League Baseball season doesn't start until a Mets injury happens.
Hey,
Which has happened now.
Right, it's already happened. Right? Yeah, you've already gotten it out of the way. You can start sucking now.
Oh, yeah.
We're still waiting for Martin Chase. What's going on tonight?
He responded earlier and said he was fine, and now I don't know what's going on.
Hey,
Maybe he's having technical
I need to run myself here in a second, but I just wanted to circle back around to the Super Bowl.
Let's hear it.
Hey, Errol, how about them Usher songs?
I know you won
How
your
about them
money.
Usher songs?
I know you won your money. My Way wasn't number 1, by the way.
It was. Go back and watch it. They started with My Way.
Wait, what was the bet, Jeff?
I had Usher set list, so I bet Usher, which the first song.
How much did you win? How much did you win?
Somewhere around $12,000.
Oh, that's good. How much did you lose?
I'm up. Oh yeah, way up, dude. Did you see the other one I had?
Yes.
Did you see? I sent you the ticket.
Yes. I saw it.
$2,400 on Kyle Juszczyk to catch the first pass.
Oh wow, nice.
Look at you. Look at you, Jeff.
Dunking on everybody. Oh, we love Debo. Oh, we love Aiyuk. My boy Juice said, "Get out of the way."
Oh yeah, easily the most likable non-giant in the league.
I like looking at his wife. That's for sure.
His wife is very talented.
Very
By the way,
talented.
did you see her? Did you see that she got the NFL to sign off on letting her use all the logos and stuff?
Oh, crazy!
As she should. With those jackets,
dude. She just got. I think the NFL just paid her. Offered her what, a $300 million contract or some crazy amount. They offered her.
No.
Yeah. I'm telling you, she something over the 100 millions. I'm telling you right now.
She has the potential to earn that much because they're going to have her design some clothes and stuff. But they didn't just hand her $300 million.
No, I think
that's like saying Patrick Mahomes.
No. I think they gave her a deal, like it was a contract of her stuff, where it's worth about 100 some odd million. I don't know. Speedy, look that up.
I'm trying.
Look that up.
Her name's Kristen Juszczyk.
I know that. I'm trying to find it and say in this article. Of course,
that'll make the Beeve angry. A woman's making more money than him.
A lot more money than him.
Yeah, everybody does.
Leave the Beeve alone. Leave him alone.
It doesn't say the exact amount, but it is a deal that is official with the NFL.
What do you mean leave the Beeve alone? What did I do?
You're picking on him. He didn't do anything to you tonight. What are you going to say?
Not tonight.
I knew
Not tonight. Every other time you hear him, oh, he's stupid. And then he cries, oh, he said something about my family. And then what'd he do, Errol? Then what'd he do, Errol?
I got it. He said something about your father. I know.
Right. So all bets are off.
Jeff,
all bets are off.
I have a good question for you. Do you, and I don't care what you say, you're a Knicks fan, but you're a Celtics fan. Do you trust that this team's going to stay healthy enough where they can make a run?
The Mets?
No, I'm talking about the Celtics.
The Celtics?
Yeah.
I think they're managing it pretty well.
Do you trust that Porzingis is going to stay healthy for the next 30 some odd games and be ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, because I think they're managing it pretty well. Like they went out and traded for Xavier Tillman so they could run a 3-man rotation, like they do at point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've figured out that's what works. That keeps everybody healthy. That you need, you need more guys, right? And they have 3-point guards, right?
Yep.
Drew, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard has played very well this year, right? They have a rotation of I don't want to say like small guards or big guards or small forwards. But like Hauser is certainly working well with Jaylen Brown and like some of those other guys. Like they've got a pretty decent bench that's been playing well. So yeah, I think he can stay healthy.
That's the only thing.
Win it? Who knows? Because they're terrible in the fourth quarter. The Celtics could be up 40 in the fourth quarter. They could still lose that game.
They shoot a lot of threes. That's the problem in the NBA in the playoffs. That doesn't work in the NBA playoffs. It doesn't, and it becomes a half-court game.
Tell that to the Warriors.
No, I understand. Well, they have Steph Curry, the greatest 3-point shooter of all time. I mean, that's different.
They also had Klay Thompson.
Yeah, but
they also had other guys that could shoot the three as well. And not for nothing, I would argue that the Celtics, not that they're better, they have more 3-point shooters because Drew can shoot it, Pritchard can shoot it, Tatum can shoot it, Brown can shoot it, Porzingis can shoot it, Horford can shoot it, Hauser can shoot it. Like they have, like the amount is higher. So no matter who drives, somebody's open.
No, and again, I'm not arguing with you, Jeff. But to me right now, if I was a Celtic fan, I'd be worried about Porzingis. Now, Porzingis, if you listen to any of them, you listen to Jason Tatum, you listen to Jaylen Brown during the All-Star game, they said the most important piece of our success going into the second half of the season is Kristaps Porzingis and feeding the big man.
If he goes down, they have no size.
Right.
If he goes down, they have no size.
Exactly, and they keep.
Right, but that was the same case they had last year with Robert Williams.
Come on,
if he goes down, they have no size.
Robert Williams is not Kristaps Porzingis. He's not even close.
No, because he can't shoot. But I'll tell you, Robert Williams is a much better defender than Porzingis.
Oh, no question. And I don't even think Porzingis is that good of a defender. Okay, he fits the defense that they like to run. But the best defensive player on that team is Drew Holiday. That's the best defensive player on it. The second best is Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown.
I don't know about that. No, I could make a very strong case for Derek White. Derek White guards multiple positions, and he's been terrific on defense this year.
Yes, but
before you go saying he's no good, just
I
remember,
didn't say
you
that.
don't watch the games, dude.
I understand that, but Drew Holiday's been an all NBA defensive player for how many years? I mean, the guy's been as good as anybody at that point guard position.
No doubt. I would argue that this year Derek White is playing better defense.
Really?
Yes.
So you think Derek White is the starting point guard for the all NBA defensive team?
I don't know if that'll be the case.
I think it's Drew Holiday. I've looked at the numbers with Drew Holiday. Okay, he's been fantastic, and I think he's the secret to their success in the playoffs because he's the one.
No, that'll be right. That'll be another thing because if you go back and you watch where they've failed is dribbling in the fourth quarter when games are close. Tatum and Brown because they can't dribble, and Marcus Smart was there, great defender. Dude can't dribble. You know, like in a perfect world, we would have been able to cut off Marcus Smart's hands. Like that would be a perfect world. So he can't catch the ball or shoot the ball. Just defend. Just defend with your two nubs and wave them around. Right? and because he can't dribble, he's terrible. So yeah, that's a huge upgrade for the Celtics because now they have a rotation with guys that can dribble.
Well, you also have a guy that could defend the other team's best point guard, the best guard. I mean, if you look at the Knicks, you have him defending Jalen Brunson. If you look at, Philadelphia, you probably have him defending Maxey. And if you go up and down this roster, Damian Lillard, and you look at Cleveland, you look at Donovan Mitchell, all these, you have a guy that can shut down the other team's best guard. And that's something that I don't care what anybody says, as good as Milwaukee was over the last couple of years, you ask anybody on that Milwaukee Bucks team, including Giannis, he said the heart and soul of that team, the best player on that team throughout the playoffs was Drew Holiday. He came out, he claimed it. He was so upset. As good as Damian Lillard was, he said the biggest loss and the biggest mistake that he believes Milwaukee made was trading Drew Holiday. So
right, yeah, no doubt. That's why Milwaukee had to go out and get a quality player like Pat Bev to fill that role.
Oh God, stop!
Dude,
stop with that.
First of all, you can laugh all you want, but Pat Bev can dribble, can defend, can do all that kind of stuff, and that's the stuff that doesn't show up on stat sheets that Milwaukee was missing because they did trade Drew Holiday.
You're so funny. When you love a player, no matter what, you would bring them up in a conversation. No matter what, Patrick Beverly is not a great player. He's a good player, not a great player. Good.
First of all, did I sit here and just say, oh, well, they brought in Pat Bev to shoot the ball? I did not. Did I go, oh, they brought in Pat Bev?
Dude, we know what he is. We know what kind of defensive player he is. We know what he is.
Dude, it's directly related to Drew Holiday, and you can't stand it because you want to say Pat Bev's no good. He is good.
Patrick Beverly is nowhere close to the player Drew Holiday is.
No, because Drew Holiday can score, but they also don't need scoring on Milwaukee because Beasley cans like 6 3-pointers.
Speedy, look at the defensive percentages. Look at Drew Holiday and look at Patrick Beverly.
Fish just commented Pat Bev not on the list.
He's not. He's not even
Derek
close.
White 7th defensive win shares. Drew Holiday's 30th, and Pat Bev not on the list.
There you go.
Okay, so Derek. So okay, all right. So Pat Bev not on the list, but to your point, Drew Holiday so much better. He's 30th. Derek White 7th. So
all right.
When I say I would make the case to you, Derek White's a better defender, and then it turns out he is.
Okay.
Who's
number one? Who's number one? Who's number one? I am not trusting White in the playoffs. I am trusting the guy that's done it year in and year out and won a championship in Milwaukee.
So it's actually Donovan Mitchell, number 1 in defensive win shares, where we were criticizing his defense for the last couple of years.
I didn't criticize.
Not you. No, not you. I know there were others that were.
I never criticized them.
New York food.
Shut up, you.
Is it the same? Is it the same New York food? Is that the same equivalent of Shohei Ohtani's Canadian sushi that he was going to have?
For years, I said that Donovan Mitchell was a better defensive player than everybody thought he was, and I was right because now what he is this year, he's the number 1 guy.
And OG Anunoby's 4th. There you go.
There's another one.
And I'm not arguing Pat Bev better player than Drew Holiday.
I never said that you did.
The same thing that you just said. That it was a mistake for Milwaukee to trade Drew Holiday, and I would agree with that. But when they did, they lost all of the things that he brought to the court that Damian Lillard can't replace.
Damian Lillard is an offensive player. That's what he is. That's what he's good at. He's a three-point shooter.
Right, so what did they have to? So what did they?
I
have
think
to
it's a
do
big
to-
mistake for Milwaukee. I think this was a big mistake. They're going to lose in the playoffs, and they're going to lose bad.
I don't
bringing
think they're
Doc
gonna lose
Rivers
because
there.
of I don't think they're going to lose because they brought in Pat Bev. I think they're going to lose because they're a fractured team. I don't think Giannis can coexist with Damian Lillard.
I do. I just think they brought in the wrong coach. A guy that's a failure everywhere he's gone, except the 1 year that he won a championship with your Celtics. That's it. And by the way, the guy that was coaching that team and the defense, that great defense, was the guy that's coaching the New York Knicks right now. So, I mean, honestly, I don't think Doc Rivers is any good. I think it was a big mistake. And I don't, by the way, did you hear? I laughed. Did you watch the show yesterday?
No, I was out.
Speedy, go ahead. Tell the big story. Go ahead, Speedy.
Well, we have JJ Redick commenting about Doc Rivers saying he has no accountability.
Oh, yeah.
And guess who responded?
I saw
Your
that.
boy, Patrick Beverly.
Right, yeah, no, first of all, right.
And his son,
Do
by
you
the
know
way.
the
yes,
right,
it's great.
do you know the
Austin
story behind
Rivers.
that? Yeah, I'm sure you don't know the story behind that, though.
Well, what's the story?
They were going back and forth and doing that to each other because they had their pod and they were doing it for the pod. He had Richard Jefferson on the pod and they were both texting each guy, Doc and Richard Jefferson was texting Doc Rivers and Pat Bev was texting Doc Rivers and Richard Jefferson was texting JJ Redick. And they did the whole thing as a setup for the Pat Bev pod.
Oh, is that the case?
And if you don't believe me, go and watch the pod.
No, I believe you, Jeff. It just makes me laugh because
because at the end of it, Richard Jefferson took a selfie with Roan and Pat Bev, and they said we're all together on this, and sent it to him.
Yeah, well, I don't even have to be on a show to tell anybody that Doc Rivers absolutely stinks as a head coach. He's not good.
Yeah, but I don't. Right? Look, I can agree with that to some degree, but also, no matter what the outcome is on this year, you can't blame Doc Rivers.
No, I'm not going to. No, the players play. The coaches call the plays. The players have to play.
But it's not even. But it's not even that. How successful are teams when they change coaches in the middle of the year? It's extremely difficult for the coach.
I want an explanation at the end of the season why they fired Griffin. I want.
You're not going to get one.
I know, and that's the big problem because you decided to go with Doc Rivers.
Milwaukee won't explain it to Errol Marks.
No, I don't. I'm not even speaking to me, you idiot. I'm talking about the press, people that want to know after they get eliminated in the first round by, I don't know, the 76ers or somebody of that magnitude.
I don't
or maybe Miami.
I don't think Milwaukee is as good a team as people think. Bobby Portis not that good. Brooke Lopez overrated.
I'm going to tell you right now, where are they matched up against if the season were to end? Indianapolis?
Yeah, they're 3, Pacers 6. Yeah,
Pacers will beat them. The Pacers will beat them.
No, they won't. No, they won't.
They can out-rebound them. I think they can out-rebound them.
No, they can't. No, they can't. The Pacers allow the most points in the league. Hands down. Go and look at. Trust me on this one. All they do is shoot threes, and they allow the most points in the league, and anyone can score in the paint. That means Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to have 3 60-point games in that series.
Everybody knows
Zero
how.
chance.
But here's the thing, Jeff. Everybody knows how to defend Giannis in the playoffs when it becomes a half-court game. Everybody knows. Keep him outside of the paint.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It'll happen.
They don't.
It'll definitely happen, though, if they play the 76ers or the Heat, though, because look at the two coaches that have done it the best, Nick Nurse and Eric Spoelstra.
Dude, mark my words, Miles Turner is not going to stop Giannis Antetokounmpo. They allow the most points in the league. They will get the pace. And I love the Pacers. I love Tyrese Halliburton. I think he's one of the best players in the league. No one talks about him. Love Halliburton.
Nobody talks about him. Everybody's talking about him. Everybody's talking about him. He almost won the All-Star MVP. Dude, he was on the Pat McAfee show and all that other stuff. He's on every single show now. And by the way,
team's got some players. Like Neesmith can shoot it. No one talks about Aaron Neesmith and how well he can shoot it.
Well, I don't think Indiana is going to be that 6th spot. I think it's going to be Miami. Miami doesn't have Jimmy Butler. When Jimmy Butler comes back, and he'll probably be back very, very soon, they're only 1 game ahead of them, or half a game ahead of them. I think Miami's going to be the 6th spot. It's going to be Milwaukee and Miami. And I'm going to tell you this right now. They lose in the first round against Miami. You could book it and seal it. They're not beating Miami. They're not.
Coach circles around the great Doc Rivers.
They're not beating Miami if they play Miami in the first round. There's no way.
They've stopped stars that are just like that, too.
No,
in
right,
a lot of
right.
playoff series.
Right, I can agree with that. I think Miami could be a better team. I think that would be a series. Dude, Milwaukee will run right through Indiana. They will.
Mm.
It won't even be close. Like, I love Indiana, but they play the worst defense in the world, dude.
Right.
It's non-existent. We'll go and watch let's see. Hold on. I know the Pacers are playing tonight. Let's see what the score is.
What are they ranked defensively? What are the Pacers ranked defensively right now?
129 to 115. That was the score tonight. And they played the Pistons, who are the worst team in the world. They allowed 115 points
team in the world.
to the Pistons.
They're the worst team in the world.
Name a worse team than the Detroit Pistons.
They're bad. They're bad.
They're in defensive rating. They're 5th worst in the NBA.
That's
I'm
not
trying
good.
to see points per game.
Who? Detroit or
No,
Indianapolis?
The Pacers.
Yeah, Indiana. Yeah, the 5th worst team. They play no defense. Everyone's gonna dude. Every game they play. Hold on. Let's go look at the box scores, like the history of the box scores for the Pacers. I would be willing to bet you they've allowed 100 points in every game this year. Every game.
Well, they're 30th in rebounds. They're 1st in points in the NBA. 1st in assists.
Right.
And they're 3rd worst in points per game.
28th in defense in the league. 28th.
Yeah, that's terrible, dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's terrible.
No, it's
That's
not good.
honestly abysmal.
That's not good. I mean, I'll give you some of the scores.
Hold on, I got it. 115 to the Pistons. They allowed 125 to the Raptors, 102 to the Hornets, 111 for the Knicks, 131 to the Warriors.
I'm looking at
129 to the Rockets. They gave up.
I'm looking at the
here's one
scores.
game, they're under 100 on 2-4, February 4th. They were under 100 points. They allowed 99 to the Hornets, who stink. They allowed 133 to the Kings.
That's the only games that's the only game this year they've given up less than 100. That's the only game.
Yeah, officials will mention Washington and Atlanta are the only 2 teams worse defensively than the Pacers.
That's
in points
bad.
per game.
All right.
They allowed 110 to the Grizzlies.
And it's, which is crazy because Rick Carlisle is a defensive-minded coach. Could you imagine?
Dude, they're just running down the court.
No, but I know.
And they play no defense.
I got it, but Rick Carlisle is a defensive-minded coach. It's what he coaches. I mean, if for his years when he was in Indiana, he was a defensive-minded coach. When he was in Dallas, when he won a championship, even with Dirk Nowitzki and the talent that he had, he preached defense. They were very good half-court defense. They're not that anymore.
This year, all gas, no brakes.
Oh, you're quoting the great Robert Saleh. Is Rick Carlisle going to keep receipts too?
He's probably giving Robert Saleh a piggyback ride right now.
I'm just telling you, because they jack up so many threes and play no defense, that like the Pacers will have to score 120 a night to win a game, and they can't do that. Milwaukee plays defense and will slow them down, and Milwaukee will still score.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying, Jeff. And again, it's with the NBA, it's all about matchups. That's all it is. And in the playoffs, it's the way you match up against the team that you're playing against. Like right now, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Knicks fan. If the Knicks are healthy, do you want to play the Knicks in the first round? I mean, seriously, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to play them because of the bench and what they have on the bench coming off, with Bogdanovich and all the different players, OG Anunoby when he comes back, Mitchell Robinson coming back. You have Hartenstein coming off the bench. I mean, their bench is pretty good. So you do not want to play the Knicks. And right now, if the Knicks were going into the playoffs right now, if the season were to end, the Knicks would be the 4th seed. And you know who would be playing in the first round? The Philadelphia 76ers. And I know they don't have Joel Embiid, but I'm sorry. If
The Knicks body bagged them tonight too.
Yeah, but they didn't have Joel Embiid. But the Knicks don't have Randall.
Which
the
is
Knicks,
exactly what I said.
OG Anunoby.
Which is exactly what I told you before. But and again, just to prove my point about what I told you about my Knicks earlier, guess who was 6 for 6 from 3-pointers tonight? Bojan Bogdanovich.
Yeah, listen, Bogdanovich is going to play a big part of the Knicks in their run in the playoffs, and they're going to have him next year for one more year.
Right.
So, and by the way, they don't even have to pay Bogdanovich next year. I think they owe him like $2 million.
Yeah, they can get out of that contract pretty easily.
They're not going to get.
No, there's no reason to.
Why would you walk away from one of the best 3-point shooters in the league?
Right. It's only if you were to struggle really badly, but they have that clause.
There's
no reason to.
They're not doing that. They're going to have him on the bench next year, and he'll be in the rotation. There's no way they're moving away from Bogdanovich. He's just a nice, easy piece if they want to trade him to add some big pieces to it. So I think it was a good move by Leon Rose. But right now, if you look at the Knicks, I wouldn't want to play the Knicks because of the bench. And OG Anunoby's still not in this rotation. You don't see Mitchell Robinson. This is when they come back with the players that they have coming back. I mean, the team that I would be most scared about, I'm scared about Boston because Boston, I think their offense is their top 5 is just as good as anybody in the league. What scares me, the team that scares me is Miami because of the way Spoelstra coaches, and he knows how to outcoach the best coaches in the league. And he doesn't have to have the best players. And that says a lot about who he is as coach. Greg Popovich, go look at Greg Popovich. Everybody says Greg Popovich, the greatest coach of all time. He had Tim Duncan. He had Manu Ginobili. He had Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard, all those good players. Where are they now? And yeah, they have the
retired.
I mean, seriously.
Kawhi Leonard is out of the Clippers. They're currently the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, just to get outshot of the playoffs.
He
by
should
James Harden.
retire. He should retire. I mean, he shouldn't be there anymore. The only reason why he stayed there is because they have Wembanyama. So that's it. That's the only reason why he hasn't retired yet.
Yep. Now Coach Shields still has 100 and still do nothing.
But eventually, he's going to have to call it quits because they're 11-44. The great Greg Popovich, and this is not a bad team. San Antonio is not a bad team. They have some players they can build around. So, and this is another team that's going to, again, another year that they're going to win. They're going to be up there in the lottery, and they're going to either win the 1 or 2 or 3 spot, and they're going to build like that. And then, this is the way the NBA works. It doesn't work for the Knicks. Doesn't work for the Knicks.
Tell the Pelicans will always get the number 1 pick, and they keep losing all their players too, besides Zion, who still might trade his way out anyway.
The 1 year. Go ahead.
Buddy, there is no lottery anymore.
No, I got it.
There's no lottery. There's no drafts. The Oklahoma City Thunder own every pick from every team for like the next 3 years.
They're going to be really, really good. They're going to be
scary. They're going to be scary good because they have all the assets to trade up and get someone if they want, or use all those assets to trade for an established player. Like, dude, they're already scary with Chet and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Diddler. Dude, they're like their worst player is like Isaiah Joe, and even Isaiah Joe is a really good player.
No, they're a good team, and they have what I think it's 8 first-round draft picks in the next 3 or 4 years. They gave up one of them to Denver in the playoffs last year. I think Denver beating the Lakers after they eliminated the Lakers. I think they got one of OKC's first-round draft picks.
One for this year, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a high pick too.
But think about all the draft picks. They have their own 8 others, and then how many second-rounders do they have? Like all of them?
A lot of them, yeah. Because they accumulated a lot. I think also from the Pacers and in a separate deal, they got a bunch from the Clippers.
That's why that Knicks trade with Detroit was a fantastic trade for Leon Rose, because he didn't have to give up any of his 6 first-round draft picks for the next 2 years. So, and I think the Knicks should really ride with that. Yes,
I told you I love that trade. It's paying off. I do love Bogdanovich. My only gripe would be this: every Knicks fan, myself included, have all been going, "Oh, don't trade Grimes, don't trade Grimes," and then now you trade Grimes. Like,
no, I agree with you, Jeff.
They could have traded Grimes for so much more earlier.
Yeah,
so much more.
Donovan Mitchell. They could have gotten Donovan Mitchell for Grimes. All they had to do was add him.
That's my only beef with it. Is like Alec Burke is fine and Bogdanovich is fine, and I like them and they're good players, and I'm not shitting on the deal. However, they lost a ton of value. Like, they gave away a ton of value. Like, if you hold on for all this to lose his value, they should have traded. Like, they should have traded.
No question. And again, going back to that trade, which is up right now, as we have Fish posting it up, our executive producer, is the Knicks added Bogdanovich and Alec Burks for obviously Quinn Grimes, Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, and 2, a second-round draft. But I don't mention Ryan because nobody cares. He was dropped as soon as he was traded.
Here's another Villanova guy.
Yeah, he was dropped right when he was traded. He was dropped like within 24 hours. So that wasn't the big. And
he'll become an assistant coach in the future.
Yeah,
like they traded 4 sacks of shit for a good play. Like, who cares about Malachi Flynn or Fournier or any of those bums. They should have thrown the beef in the trade and gotten them out of New York too, right? Like if you're dumping all the worthless people throw the beef in, right?
If you claim,
who cares? You got back good players for scrubs, is what you did. You traded the only asset of value is the second round pick.
Mm-hmm. If you claim that the Pistons are the worst team in NBA history, then the beef would fit right in, according to your logic.
I don't even think it was an asset. The Knicks have I think it's 9 second-round draft picks for the next 3 or 4 years.
Right, that's great, but it's still an asset.
Yeah, but again, the Knicks didn't have to give up any of their first round, which the Knicks have been known to do that. Trade away first-round draft picks for nothing.
No, I get it. They got value for what they were doing, but that's the only asset of value that went away in the trade. It was a second-round pick. Sure. And I'm not saying it's a huge thing, but name someone that you give a shit. Malachi Flynn, dude, see you later. Grimes, you're a bum now. Fournier, you've been a bum. Fournier been a bum for 5 years now, by the way.
Making $16 million from the Knicks.
right, but that's what it is. He's been
Thank you very much.
So it is what it is.
I wish I was
back value. It was a good move. All I'm saying is when all of those other teams wanted Grimes in the trade and they were willing to give away a star, no disrespect to Bogdanovich and Burks, they're not star players, right? Mm-hmm. And when you could have gotten Donovan Mitchell or something like that and didn't because you were holding out hope for Quentin Grimes, that's an L. I don't care what you say, that's an L.
I agree with you, but at the time, the Knicks thought that Quentin Grimes was going to be a pretty good player. Now
they should know better. Anyone they draft sucks.
That's not true. RJ Barrett was not a sucky player, dude. He doesn't suck. RJ did not stink.
RJ is not what they thought he was.
No, but again, there's a lot of players like that. There's a lot of players.
They traded him for a guy that's better, and OG Anunoby.
Right now, he fits what they like to do. He fits what the Knicks like to do. They need a perimeter defender, a wing defender. They haven't had a wing defender as good. I don't even remember the last wing defender they had that could do what he could do.
That should be the Knicks' strategy going forward, because you're so terrible at identifying guys that would fit into your system. They should just preemptively trade the pick when it's a no-name pick and trade it away when it's at its most valuable thing and get a guy that they want that's established that would be good. That's what they should do. Well, they're so terrible at drafting.
That's not true. They
the Knicks have also done that in reverse too. They traded a first-round pick at the great Andrea Bargnani from the Raptors.
Listen, the Knicks haven't been good, but again, they haven't been good at drafting. But how many top 4, top 5 picks have the Knicks had over the years? When they haven't had a lot of them. And by the way, Porzingis is not that bad of a consolation prize, is he? I mean, seriously.
Yes, Fish. Eddie Curry was the worst.
The only guy
that was the Chicago Bulls.
The only guy on their roster they drafted is the center there.
Robinson.
That's the only guy on the roster they drafted. Oh, we love Obi Toppin. Shipped him out. Oh, we love Kevin Knox. He's gone. Oh, we're holding on to Quentin Grimes because he's a star. See you later. RJ Barrett's this amazing player. Oh, you're on the first thing smoking out of town.
Matty Capps' boy, Kevin Knox, that he loves so much.
Right. There's nobody on the roster they drafted.
He was traded again.
Nobody.
I know. He's not good. He went from Utah. I think he went back to the Pistons.
No, but Jeff liked Kevin Knox in the first year, too. He thought...
I liked Kevin Knox. No, I liked Kevin Knox coming out of college.
Yeah, you did.
Dude, because here's the problem. These guys are so young, you're just basically drafting off of, jumping and running and height.
Yeah.
And can you shoot a little bit? Right. And then the problem is they have to fit into an offense, which is clearly the problem in New York. Everyone they pick doesn't fit the offense, right? Not picking on any of the players. A lot of guys' careers are made just based on where you start your career.
Look how many teams passed up on Donovan Mitchell. Look how many teams, 14 teams passed up, 13 teams passed up on Donovan Mitchell. Look how many teams passed on Kawhi Leonard. I think he was 16.
Right, Kawhi Leonard. I'll give you another one. Nikola
Jokic, a second-round draft pick. How about I'm trying to think. Giannis.
Right, there's a bunch of dudes.
Was the 16th or 17th pick?
Right, there's a bunch of dudes out there that got picked late, so it's just about where you start your career. And unfortunately, no one that starts their career in New York is any good.
No, but again, and I understand what you're saying, Jeff, but the Knicks haven't had any luck.
Go pull up the list of their last 10 drafts.
Go ahead.
And find out how many people they drafted that are on the team, because it's only Mitchell Robinson I would be willing to bet. And
second round draft pick.
This
Mitchell Robinson was the
and
second round draft.
And whoever they drafted this year, because I'm sure whoever they drafted
They didn't draft anybody.
They didn't draft anyone this year.
They didn't have a second round pick.
No, the Knicks haven't had a first or second round draft pick for the last 2 years. I'm not lying. The last first round pick they had was Obi Toppin and
it was 20. Oh, no, it was a Spanish kid, Leandro Lomarmo, in that same draft, who didn't play much of anything. RJ Barrett was the year before, and then the year after was Kai Jones and Keon Johnson both got traded.
Gone.
They were traded to other teams, so they didn't even draft those guys. Second round pick was Jeremiah Sims and another Villanova guy, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. So,
gone.
Yeah, and Mitchell Robinson, like Errol saying, was a second round pick.
They drafted McBride.
Right, which is the one that I identified that's still there. So there's one.
They drafted McBride, didn't they?
McBride was a second round
draft pick.
Second round pick. Yeah,
so 2 guys on the team. Out of 15, 2 out of 15 we got so far. We got the last guy at the bench, and then a guy that's always hurt, even though he might be the greatest.
McBride is not the last guy on the bench. Stop.
He pretty much is now.
No, he isn't. He's a starting point guard on the shooting guard, point guard or shooting guard on the second team. He's pretty good.
First of all, you make no sense. You have no idea what you're talking about. He's the starting point guard on the second team. He's not a starter.
He's not a starter. No.
Right. So he's the last guy off the bench.
Whatever, Joe. He's not the last guy.
Who's coming in the game? Who's coming in the game first, McBride or Burks?
Who's coming? I would take McBride. I think McBride's been coming
Burks
off the bench.
Is a better player.
I'm telling you, McBride has been one of Thibodeau's favorite guys. He's a great defender, shutdown defender, and he could shoot the three. He's actually.
But that doesn't matter because that's not putting the.
I'm telling you right now, McBride is off the bench more. He's off the bench before Alex Burks. I'll make a bet on that. I'll make a bet on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it can vary from night to night. Hold on here. Let's see.
It probably does. They're the same type of player for the most part. McBride is a little.
Yeah, McBride played. Right. McBride played 17 minutes tonight. Burks played 13. Bogdanovich played 24 minutes.
Yeah, well, we expect that. We expect that.
Right. So he plays a little bit because let's be honest.
4 minutes is a lot, Jeff. That's a lot.
13 minutes is a lot. Okay, let's see.
No. 4 minutes over.
35 minutes. Josh Hart, 44
Stop,
minutes. Brunson, 39 minutes.
They're their starters right now. Of course they're going to play. Thibodeau likes to run these guys down.
And they still have the last month.
Come on, Jeff. Do you watch a lot of Knicks games? Honestly, do you watch?
I love the Knicks.
Oh, yeah, you love the Knicks. So you would know that Tom Thibodeau likes to run his starters into the ground. That's what he does.
And he's done that the last month, unfortunately, too.
Who told you they were going to body bag the 76ers tonight?
We knew they were going to beat the 76ers.
No, you didn't. You said the 76ers are so good.
They're good. They're good. I mean,
no, they're not. They
the
got
Knicks
body bagged.
Body bagged? Really that bad? Was it really that bad?
The
I don't know.
Sixers were down like 20 to 25 the whole night.
Yeah, well, at the end of what was the final score of the game?
110 to 96.
Yeah, it was body bagged, all right. 14 points
Why?
Without Joel Embiid.
Why? Because they made a run on the second team at the end of the game. They body bagged them, bro.
They made a run against Miles McBride and Alec Burks. Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
Yeah, exactly. McBride's so good, that's who gave up the run.
Could you stop? What is it with you with Miles McBride? I'm sorry, with McBride. What is it?
He's not that good.
He's a good player. He is a good player.
Burks over him. I'm taking Burks over him.
I'm not. Oh my God.
They're basically the same player.
I'm not saying.
Really? Who led the team in scoring tonight? Who led the Knicks in scoring tonight?
I don't know who.
Bogdanovich.
I didn't say Bogdanovich. I'm saying Burks and McBride, not Bogdanovich. I know Bogdanovich is a better player than both of them.
Right. All right. So in 13 minutes tonight, Burks had 7 points. In 17 minutes tonight, McBride had 4.
And McBride's a better defender than Alex Burks.
Oh, but that doesn't matter because defending doesn't matter because if it didn't matter.
Oh, here he goes. Go ahead. Don't do the Patrick Beverly. Go ahead.
No, you don't.
Go ahead.
When your standard is.
Stop, Jeff. Stop, Jeff. That's not true, Jeff. That's not true, Jeff. That's not true. That's not.
It is.
No, it's not. You like flip it. Wait a second. No, I did not say it doesn't matter. You're telling me that Patrick Beverly is a fantastic player, 6th man of the year. You were saying that yes, you did. You did say that. You did say that. What are you on
and what did I just
drugs?
tell you? It was a mistake trading Drew Holiday for them. And what they lost, they needed to get back. And Patrick Beverly provides what
We'll
they
see
lost.
that. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the
He
first
does.
round. We'll see what happens.
He provides
Coached
the
by the
defense.
great
He
Doc
provides
Rivers.
and because Pat Beverly doesn't need to score on that team, dude. Really quietly, seriously, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but go and look at it, dude. Malik Beasley, sharpshooter.
He's good. He's been good for like the last 3 years.
He was on the 3-point
Yeah,
contest.
They don't need
we
any
know.
more scoring. They got Lillard, Giannis, and Malik Beasley is knocking down every three he sees. They don't need more scoring. They need defense.
Yeah, we'll see what
So that's
happens
what
in the
they went and got.
playoffs. We'll see what happens in the playoffs.
First of all, I'm the one that told you earlier, dude, they're not going very far. I don't think the Milwaukee Bucks are like a complete team. I think Miami's better. I think the Knicks are better. I think the Celtics are better. Let's see who else.
Damian Lillard will flee to Miami next year. Mark my words. Mark my words.
Can he? I think he's still under contract.
No, I think he's not. He's a free agent.
It's the last year of the 2 year, $60 million per year.
A free agent, and that's where he's going, baby. That's where he wanted to go. That's where he's heading.
That's where his agent said that's the only spot he would be traded to.
Yeah, that's where he's going. You mark my words.
Book
Book
it.
it.
It probably is, but that's bad news for the rest of that team because they're going to have to figure out how to pay him. With Tyler Hero's got to be the odd man out, right?
Yes.
Because Robinson's not going to have much
They'll
value.
move him in the offseason. They'll move him in the offseason.
He wants to play without a bio, so they're not going to move him. So
yeah, Tyler Hero will be moved.
And I'm not sure that works either.
I don't think they're going to beat. I don't think they beat the Celtics. I don't think they beat the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks are going to have 2 max spots next year if Julius Randle decides to not take that option. If he takes the option, the Knicks still have a max spot sitting there. If they want to add a player in the offseason, maybe a Maxey or somebody like that, they can add a player. I'm not saying. I know. I know. I'm just saying that if the Knicks want to trade for a big name player to come and play over there with Randall and Brunson and all the talent that they have over there, they could do that. They can seal the deal and make that move. So that's why, and the Knicks have 6 first-round draft picks for and I think it's like 8 second-round draft picks in the next 3 years. I mean, the Knicks could do that. I'm just saying. Miami.
Some of those so they can have an influx of cheap guys that can still play.
How many great years does Damian Lillard have? You know what I mean? I don't know. And he's not a defender. He's not a two-way basketball player.
But you know what's even funnier about that? I think and I realize it's a player leaving, so you got to just kind of imagine it. But I think Damian Lillard's in a better spot with Milwaukee than Damian Lillard is on the Heat.
I disagree. I disagree.
I think the Bucks are a better team.
I'm not.
I think first of all, they already have the pieces there because I would argue.
I've got one for you.
Giannis is better than Bam.
I've got one for you. I've got one for you.
Giannis better than Bam?
Oh, much better. But in the playoffs, I'm taking Bam Adebayo. I'm taking Bam.
I don't know about that.
In the playoffs, I'm taking Bam Adebayo.
I know over the guy that won
Giannis can't do anything. Teams have figured him out how to stop him. And by the way, when he plays Bam Adebayo, he shuts him down. He shuts him down.
The only thing I hate about the Greek Freak is that he's forcing his brother to be on the same team. What a wasted roster spot. You got the Greek Freak.
Knicks draft pick Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, dude, you got the Greek.
Wow, I'm very impressed how you pronounce that name, Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
2014 Knicks second-round draft pick.
Yeah, you got the Greek Freak and Greek Cheeks because Thanasis is ass.
Officials will mention in the comment
Greek
section.
Cheeks.
Lillard is the 15th worst defensive player.
I want to check out that documentary, by the way. The Journey. I want to see that. Giannis documentary that I think Prime came out with. It's either Apple or Prime, but I heard it's really, really good. I definitely want to check out that documentary too. I'm like, by the way, I haven't seen the Alexander Daig documentary like you wanted me to do. I'm waiting. I'm trying to get it.
Watch it.
Oh, is it really that good?
It's awesome.
I got to check it out.
I loved it. I'm a hockey nerd though.
Yeah.
I like hockey.
So do I.
It is what it is. But yeah, I think Milwaukee, dude, top to bottom, think about this. They're going to lose Hero and Duncan, and they're going to lose some other things because they got to pay Lillard, right? Dude, top to bottom, I'm taking Portis, and it's a deeper team because Middleton's still good. Portis, Lopez, Antetokounmpo, Lillard, Beasley can shoot. That's a bunch of dudes that can really play. If he goes to Miami and signs a big contract, it's okay. It's Jimmy Butler. He's great. Jimmy Butler and Bam, and Lillard, and then nobody else. Dude.
And you have a guy named Spoelstra, who is the coach. I am not trusting Doc Rivers over Spoelstra, Eric Spoelstra.
I hear you, but players play the game, and I think top to bottom,
Milwaukee tell the Knicks that last year. Okay, please. Tell the Knicks that
weren't ready last year. Come on, dude. The Knicks weren't ready.
The Knicks were ready. Are you kidding?
The Knicks shouldn't have lost to Miami.
No way. The G League play. They have 4 G League players on that roster. 4 of them. And they were a part of that roster, the major part of their roster. That was embarrassing. That was embarrassing the way the Knicks got their butts whipped. Okay. They were the better team. They were the better team. And the better coach beat the other coach, okay? And I'm not taking shots at Tom Thibodeau. He could be coach of the year this year for what the Knicks have been. It doesn't matter.
He's done a great job.
It doesn't matter. Eric Spoelstra.
The way he coached up McBride to 4 points tonight, I think is unbelievable.
No. The players have to play, Jeff.
You're such an ass. You really are such an ass.
What?
You are. I swear, man. You're like a tick, you know? You like to suck. You're like a vampire tick. That's you ever heard of a vampire tick? That's Jeff. Fish, I want a picture of. I'm going to send you a picture of Jeff, and I want you to put it on a tick's, body. Okay, that is what he is. That is what he is. I'm going to get a picture.
It'll be the smartest tick on the planet.
That'll be the second best graphic of somebody on an animal body following the beef being on a beaver.
Yeah, he should be the head on a donkey.
Don't insult donkey like that. He's the best Shrek character. The beef doesn't deserve to be worthy of that.
Poor beef, man.
It's unbelievable how dumb that kid is.
Poor beef, man.
See, Jeff, think of it this way. You think the CeeDee Lamb take is bad and the Barry Sanders take is bad. He also wanted the Mets to send down or trade Edwin Diaz.
Dude, that weasel. And first of all, Errol knows this. I'm not saying anything that isn't true right here. Errol, you can stop me at any point and tell me when I'm lying.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That little weasel called me draft night, complaining and crying and why, CeeDee Lamb, he's so terrible. Why did we do that? Why did we draft him? He's the worst player in the draft. Errol, right or wrong?
You're right about that. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Moron. CeeDee Lamb's one of the best receivers in football, and that Momo couldn't.
Well, we both said that. We both said that about CeeDee Lamb.
Dude, we were trying to talk him off the ledge. He was trying to walk to the.
He wanted Xavier McKinney. That's who he wanted. I said, "What are you nuts?" I said, "This guy was on everybody's, like, definitely mine, my top 3. I would have taken CeeDee Lamb in top. The fact that I don't know, 12, 13 teams passed up on him. Shame on them after seeing what this guy put up this year and last year. The numbers he's putting up. It's ridiculous.
And to think the Raiders also drafted Henry Ruggs ahead of him.
Honestly, he's probably the second or third best wide receiver in football.
Hold on, though, Speedy. Hold on with that comment. Hold on with that. I'm not going to let you get away with that one. Okay, Henry Ruggs isn't playing. He did a dumb thing. He killed a girl.
I'm not talking about that. He wasn't even that good on the field either.
He was.
No, he wasn't. He had like 3 great games. CeeDee Lamb had 3 of that his rookie year or 2.
Did you just say Henry Ruggs is good?
Oh, he wasn't that good on the field either. He had drop problems. He wasn't a great route runner, and he wasn't overly productive.
Henry Ruggs was going to be good, dude. I'll stand by that. I don't care what you guys say. Like, dissing him for that, and
I'm not dissing him for what happened. I'm saying he wasn't that good on the field either. It was the same thing with DeAndre Baker. Like, we know he was wrongfully convicted. He also wasn't that good on the field either.
He was pretty good, dude. He was pretty good. Come on, dude. He was pretty good. That's what it is. But like, this is what I'm saying though. This is why, like, me and Errol laughed about it because we had to talk him off the ledge. And this is why he serves coleslaw in deli. Because if he had to be a job, like if his job had to be a scout, he wouldn't know talent if it hit him in the face.
He's gonna be texting me tomorrow. Tell that ass to shut the hell up.
Why? Everything we're saying is true. CeeDee Lamb's terrible. Oh, the next one, Tyron Smith, terrible. He's gonna be. So why do we try? He was the best offensive lineman the team had. If this dude had to put food on his table by trying to find talent, he'd starve to death.
I'm looking at Henry Ruggs' numbers: 20 games, 50 receptions, 921 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's not good.
In a year and a half, that's not that good.
Right. Dude, he had a rough go. He was coming into his own as a pretty good player, dude. It was coming around. I'm telling you, because he had he had a pulled hamstring there a little bit. That's not.
Well, how long was
dude.
he sentenced? How long was he sentenced?
Well, it depends, right? Because I think his sentence was like 3 to 30 years or something like that.
Was it that
which
long?
I think you said, Jeff, there was something like it's likely to be something like 8 total, like based on what he could end up happening.
No. His sentence is 3 to 30, so he can apply for parole after 3, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 years.
Now hold on. Whether he gets granted parole is
3 to 10.
Another story.
He was sentenced for 3 to 10 years.
Okay, so he would be entering year. This is the 3rd year he's entering. I think in October.
You give him
November,
another chance to play in the NFL.
He'll certainly be at the age where he still could if he stays in shape.
He's 25. He's 24 right now, or 25.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So 24, 25, and he's already. Is he a year or 2 in already?
This
is
he'll be entering the 3rd year.
This
I
is
think
his
it's
3rd year.
3 years in October or November, whenever he exactly got arrested. It was in the fall. It was
doesn't matter when he got arrested. It starts from when he got sentenced.
When he got sentenced.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that'd be
actually,
later.
You want to know what? No. You want to know what? I don't think that's true because I think he surrendered himself early and did some early time there.
Okay.
So there'd be some time that comes off for that.
All right.
But
So it might be 3 years, maybe at this time next year, maybe. So I think we're at 2 right now.
He's eligible for parole at the end of this year.
Right, at the end of this year. So that would be what, 20? He could, again,
He'll
not
be
that it's
26.
Likely, right, he could come out and be 26. And even if he does a few more years and comes out when he's 28 or 29, he could still get another contract and play.
He could, but is any team going to give him a chance? That's the question.
Hey, man, 160 miles an hour, that's SEC speed. You know what I'm saying? Like...
All right, Jeff, you always have to never rule out that the fact that the Dallas Cowboys love those players with off-field issues, so why not?
Dude, they love it. Dallas might as well be the longest yard.
That's pretty good. The longest yard. You're such an idiot.
Don't give the Beeve any ideas. He'll replace Dak with Paul Crewe at quarterback.
Dude, you think I'm an idiot, but like Greg Hardy's like undefeated at fighting women, but they still kept him on the team until that lumped up photo of her face laying on the gun.
Oh, it was horrible,
right?
man. Oh, what they did. I don't know if anybody's checked out what that whole thing. I mean, it was the court case and everything, and the stories that came out. Go check it out. It's definitely on the internet on what Greg Hardy did to his girlfriend. It is disgusting.
But think about this.
It's disgusting.
They already knew all of that.
Yeah.
And they were still okay with him being there. But it wasn't until the photo of the couch with all the guns that he threw her on came out that they were like, oh, well, maybe that's a little too far. Dude, you already knew he lumped her up with something terrible.
Dude, he was
but
drowning.
They still didn't care.
He was drowning her head in a toilet bowl, okay? He was trying to drown her.
Yeah, and Dallas didn't care because they're all heathens. Josh Brent flipped a car and killed the dude, and they were like, you think he can be a training camp next year?
They're all heathens. There it is. There it is. My name is Jeff, the president of what? The Pat Bev Fan Club.
And good running backs suck.
First of all, that's no hate to Saquon Barkley. It's just a different, and good running backs suck. Like my strategy isn't a winning strategy that other teams are using. It's not hate against Saquon Barkley. It's not saying, Saquon Barkley's no good. I'm saying that money can be used for better purposes. And the fact that that's how you equate things, guy good, pay a lot of money, is just a retard's perspective.
Speedy doesn't like that word. Don't use it. He does not like that word.
Right, but this is the problem. Like, if every guy that was good just got paid automatically, no one would go anywhere. There has to be a line somewhere. And I think that the $14 million for a running back is ridiculous.
I love that word when you say it. Ridiculous, right, Speedy? Do it one time.
Like, think about this. Like, dude, we talk about it all the time. The Zeke Elliott thing. And again, not picking on the Beaver, the Cowboys, but it's just the most glaring example, right? It just is. When they gave him that contract, they couldn't afford backups. They couldn't do anything. So when Zeke got hurt, what did they have? Nothing. So I would rather pay $3-5 million running backs than $14 million running back. And somehow that's hating Saquon Barkley. It's not. He's a very good player. He's very talented. Also, if I'm building a team, it's not worth the money.
I disagree. When you have a game-changing player like that, I'm going to tell you this right now. If I were Buffalo in the offseason, I know they have Cooks there, and he's a good player.
So they've tried first of all, they've tried though. Like they're one-dimensional, but they've tried because they went and got Damian Harris. They drafted Zach Moss. Was it Zach Moss?
Come on, Zach Moss was 4 years
You
ago.
put
but yeah.
Saquon Barkley on that team. You don't think they're a different team? Come on, Jeff.
No, they could be a lot better, but I don't think
A lot better.
Right. But here's the problem. I don't think the team is built that way because they run with Josh Allen. That's their running game. And I don't think that they're built to really run the football like that because they had James Cook who did well, but most of his stuff was because he was catching passes out of the backfield in Buffalo. They don't run the ball well there. They don't.
The Giants.
It doesn't matter who they had. Devin Singletary and Moss and Cook and Damian Harris and all these guys that they went and got. It doesn't work for them. It can't just be, all of those guys suck. Like everyone they get sucks. No, it's the team and the way they run it, dude.
No, I got it. It's all about the scheme and obviously the coach and the way they like to run their offense. But I'm going to tell you this right now. If you put Saquon Barkley on that Buffalo Bills team, watch out. I'm telling you right now, watch out.
I don't think it's
watch
as
out.
automatic as you think. I don't think it's as automatic as you think.
I disagree.
I don't think they know how to run block.
You don't really need to do that with a player like that, man. I mean, you could do so many things. You could do so many things with him.
Would you say
it's hard to take down?
Would you say prime Zeke Elliott is the same as Saquon Barkley?
No,
or thereabouts.
I loved Zeke coming out of Ohio State. Saquon Barkley, I think, is just a better player, man.
Right, fine, but it's close, right? It's
okay, yeah.
Right. That's all I'm saying. So you're like, they don't need to block for him. Zeke went from all world when they had a line, and then when they didn't have a line, he couldn't run nowhere.
Yeah, I just think if you put
the line in Buffalo is not good, right?
It was good this year.
No, it wasn't because they still couldn't run the football. They don't know how to run block.
Because
it's not part of their
offense.
Well,
hold on. Cook had a pretty good season. He had over 1,000 yards.
Because he caught a ton of balls out of the backfield.
And just imagine what you could do with Saquon doing that.
But that could be anybody. They're running that with James Cook. It could be anyone. So why, if I can do it for $1 million with James Cook, would I pay 14 to do it?
Because you're not going to win without it. I mean, did you see them against Kansas City?
They did it just fine with James Cook.
They couldn't beat Kansas City. They need to get over the hump against Kansas City. They need another weapon. That's a weapon that could beat them.
Right. So no, they need another guy that can get open and catch passes because I don't think Gabe Davis played in that game, did he?
No, he didn't. No.
Right. So that's when you're like, they need another weapon. They couldn't beat him. Yeah, their number 2 wide receiver was out.
Yeah, but I just think he creates so many mismatches. He creates so many mismatches especially in the AFC East. He's going to create so many mismatches. So, and then look at the Jets when they played the Giants. Look at what he did. The Jets defense and what they did this year, especially against guys that caught the ball in the backfield, they completely dominated against Saquon Barkley, over 100 yards.
If you look at every team that was good and made the playoffs this year, the only one that was a one-dimensional running game was San Francisco, and I realized that's all great. Every other team, multiple running backs, multiple.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. You need more running backs than just one.
Well, that's not true. The Jets, as soon as Breece Hall
they didn't make the playoffs.
All right, but it was Breece Hall. It was all Breece Hall.
What I said to you was, if you look at all the teams that make the playoffs, stop injecting the Jets into it.
I'm just mentioning
the teams that made the playoffs. No. If you which is craziness. Because they were terrible with just the one running back.
Yeah.
So bringing them up, look at how good that was. Yeah, it was a disaster. 4 wins.
Okay.
So, but if you look at all the
seven
teams that made the playoffs,
wins, by the way.
Well, whatever. If you look at all the teams that made the playoffs, they were all multiple running back teams, except for the 49ers. That's the one exception. The Dolphins, Mostert and A-Chain. Did Pittsburgh make it? I think Pittsburgh made it.
Yeah.
Jalen Warren and Najee Harris.
Yep.
The
Ravens,
Browns, the Ravens, they got 17 of them. Justice Hill and Gus Bus.
The Texans didn't. They had Singletary. That was their main running back.
And that's why they threw the ball 1,000 times.
I'm just saying that they were a team that made the playoffs and they ran with one guy.
All right, so 2 teams out of 12.
Okay. Go ahead, name more.
The Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery. You want more running backs than just one. I'm not paying $14 million because it doesn't win. Unless you're with the Jets, because 7 wins is terrific, right? Breece Hall. Round of applause.
What about the Rams? They were pretty one-dimensional with Kyron Williams. They didn't really have anyone else.
Right, that's the one they had, but they had some other guys behind them. They didn't use them, but they had other guys there. Right? but they most of the teams, dude, the Eagles, how many running backs the Eagles had? They had Swift and Gainwell and all these other dudes. The Seahawks, how many running backs the Seahawks have? Like a dozen?
Yeah.
The Seahawks have more running backs than the Bears have tight ends, and I think they've got a tight end in the last 5 drafts.
Fish got a good opening translation of who you are, man. They just said it. Guest now on sports, loudmouth, professional, enormous windbag, Jeff.
I mean, that's all well and good, but it also shows you how dumb he is because he's like, you got to pay this. But all the good teams, right? Like all the good teams have multiple running backs, right?
Yeah.
Right. So my philosophy would seem to be more successful than jackwagon with, you got to give one guy a ton of money because Derrick Henry makes the playoffs every year, right? Oh, and it works so well with Jonathan Williams and the Colts. Let's pay these guys enormous money so they don't have to play it January. Good job, Fish, retard.
Hey, we don't use the R word, but Jeff, CEH and McKinnon did nothing for the Chiefs late in the season. So what are you talking about? The two teams in the Super Bowl had one running back. One was a 3-down running back.
You go back and look
what
at
are
the
you
Patriots
talking
run.
about?
How many running backs the Patriots run with? Well, they had
they're different. They had 2 tight ends also. Like the first one to do that.
They had Deion Lewis. They had every running back in the world was on that team.
Now talk, Fish.
Multiple running backs.
Yeah, that's great. Except that was one team that did things differently than everyone else, and then everyone tried to copy them, and they forget the fact that it's better to have really good players on your team. Saquon Barkley, and you were talking about Neighbors earlier, like, hey, we don't need Barkley. You get Neighbors to open it up. You don't need him. You realize what would happen? I mean, I don't know if you understand this, but if you got a guy that takes the top off like that, now Saquon isn't running against 8-man boxes, 7-man boxes. It's going to be a completely different ball game if they hold on to him. Now,
no one's ever done it. Boxes.
Who do they? He had a great career. They just had a trap team this year, and how was he? Oh, I don't remember him being great this year.
He was good in the second half, not as much as the first half.
He always is like that anyways.
He's fine. He's a great player, but same situation as Saquon. Does that mean that they should have pumped him?
No, I will say this, and we have to go, but I will say this. You need multiple running backs because you need at least 2 of them. And that's a lot of these teams, they only have one, and some of them don't even have one. I mean, if you look at the Buffalo Bills, I mean, if you look at their rosters this year, I mean, Cook looks like he looks like he's a pretty good player.
Running game was not the main issue with their roster
but
this year.
I mean, look at their running backs over the years. Singletary, I mean, he's okay for the Texans. He wasn't that any good. They really, since Josh Allen was drafted, they really never had a number one running back.
Sean McCoy was like 31 when he was drafted. So.
Right, but they've tried and they keep bringing. Dude, Damian Harris was a good running back. Like you even liked him in New England.
Yeah, I did, but he's washed up.
They drafted
He's washed
Zach
up.
Moss. They got Singletary. They got Cook. They're trying with a bunch of guys. It doesn't work on that team because they're a terrible run blocking team.
I just think right now there are teams out there that could be looking for running backs. I mean, look at the Vikings. I mean,
that's the best example of any of those teams.
I mean, the Vikings don't have anything. They have nothing.
But before this year, and I know that you hate him or whatever, but Alexander Madison was a really good backup running back to Dalvin Cook. He was,
which is fine, but leave him in that role.
But 5 carries a game.
The teams that just have one guy stink. Who's on the Raiders besides Josh Jacobs? Nobody, and they stink.
Go ahead, Fish.
Look, man, it's the problem is Gettleman put the Giants in this situation years ago. Could have had Quentin Nelson and Chubb in that draft where they were drafting. Instead, went with Barkley. And I got to be honest, I don't remember who the second-round pick was.
Will Hernandez.
It was Will Hernandez? Oh, wonderful. The hog molly, right? But look, you have him on the team. You don't cut bait with someone that good just because, other teams have won with crappier running backs. You have him. He's electrifying. In college, he was unbelievable. And on rookie season, he was unbelievable. He's still very good.
you're missing what I'm saying. You're missing the entire thing. I'm not saying he's not great. He is great. Like, you win in that. He is great. I'm telling you, he is great. But what happens when he gets hurt? Because he does get hurt. He does have a very shaky injury history, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he
Of
does.
course.
Most running backs.
Right.
You
And
just
so
got to
when
draft a guy for a
you-
backup or pick one up. You know, Breida was obviously a terrible choice, and the guy they drafted, Eric Gray, didn't pan out. So,
Right,
you know,
right, but
they
this is-
failed on that.
This is what I'm saying. For a couple of $1 million, you can have Kareem Hunt, and then for a couple more, you can have Derrick Henry, and then for a few more.
A
after
couple
that,
more?
Eckler, so there's a ton of running backs out there that can do it, and you can build something for the $14 million. You want to hand one guy, because if it goes wrong with that one guy, there goes your whole season. It's over.
It's already over anyway. They're never
Season
going
two is over. You know, they're 1-16 without him. Don't you
The
think?
Dolphins were so good this year. Yes, they had great wide receivers, and that's something the Giants don't have. That's conceivable. But when A-Chain got hurt, Mostert ran all the time, and then when Mostert got hurt, A-Chain ran all over the place.
But again,
and
and-
guess what? Running
a lot of
backs get hurt.
a lot of Giant fans throw Gettleman under the bus, but Gettleman was not good at bringing in free agents, as we know. Galladay and all the other guys that he brought in, they were horrible. But he was very good at drafting. He actually he is a Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas is horrible at bringing in free agents, but he's good at drafting. I mean, and that's the problem. A lot of Giant fans want to throw Gettleman under the bus, that he was just a horrible GM. What has Joe Shane done for you? He's done nothing. His drafts suck. It sucks. 2 years of that crap. He stinks.
I'd be willing to bet on this with
He
Vish. I'd be
stinks. Who's that? Mike Francesa.
I would be willing to bet on this with Vish. Okay, maybe you can't get like some of the top guys, whatever, but I would guarantee you can get J.K. Dobbins and DeAndre Swift and
you probably could.
Yeah. Why do you want a guy who just had a terrible knee injury like the year after?
Good, and it would be a whole lot better than one guy.
Just get a better backup in case he gets hurt. He's great. He changes the game. They're terrible without him. Still terrible with him, but way more terrible.
Jeff, thank you for being the co-host tonight.
Love you, Jeff.
We love you. We love you. Guest co-host. We love you.
It's just crazy. Like, if you look at all the teams, dude, they all have multiple. Like, all the good teams have multiple dudes, and you're trying to pour money into one dude and have nothing else, which I just think is insane. It's not against Barkley. It's how you build a quality team.
And I understand what you're
saying. If you're a Giants fan and you want to win, don't give all your money to one guy.
Listen, and the Giants aren't giving all their money into one guy. The Giants have $45 million to spend in the offseason. And I agree in certain ways, but Jeff, I'm going to go back, and I don't really want to rehash this anymore, because we already know we can argue about this all day long and go around in a circle, and we'd still come back to the same answer to everything, because we all have disagreements, which is good. It's good to argue about this. But if you look at the Giants in the position that they're in going into this offseason, and this is the facts, no wide receiver, no free agent wide receiver wants to play there because they stink right now. And if they do bring in Malik Neighbors, which they probably will, I believe that. I'm predicting that's where they go.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same wavelength
Yes.
with that. I think Neighbors is and only because I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going earlier.
Yes, absolutely. I believe Malik Neighbors at number 5 or 6, where the Giants are sitting, they're going to get him. But here's the thing. I am not trusting going into the season when Dable right now is on the hot seat. Half the coaching staff is gone because the guy doesn't get along with anybody on the sidelines. You need to go into the offseason with a veteran guy that you can trust. I know what you're saying. You could bring in 3 guys, Fournette, all these other guys. You can get 3 for the price of 1.
Is J.K. Dobbins chopped liver? Like, no, J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins is not Saquon Barkley. He's just not. And either is Fournette.
I completely agree with that. But I will take 3 J.K. Dobbins over 1 Saquon Barkley.
I don't know, because he tears his ACL every single time, so I don't know if I take that. So
I'll take 5. Dude, what did Kareem Hunt sign for? $2 million? I'll take 5 Kareem Hunts over 1 Saquon
do
Barkley.
you see Kareem Hunt getting along with Dable on the sidelines? Are you kidding me?
He made it work in Cleveland, and that's not an easy.
They have a very good coach over there, and that and the way they like to play their game, it's run, throw. That's the way they like to play. So that makes him happy as long as he gets fed the ball. See, with Saquon, you can throw the ball to Saquon. You could use him in the backfield. Kareem Hunt, what did they use him? What did the Browns use him on third downs? In the red zone. That's what they used him.
That's not true.
They used him a lot like that. Ford was the first and second down.
No, they split snaps.
Yeah, they did.
Trust me, as a guy that's a better, there were plenty of Kareem Hunt getting. Look, there was a lot of Jerome Ford games.
Yes.
That's true too. But they split work more than evenly there.
I
bet you if you look up their touches, they were probably dead even.
I would agree with you, but it took a while. It took the last 5 to 6 games for it to change that way. When Nick Chubb got hurt,
all their quarterbacks died. They started 5 different quarterbacks, I think.
Go look at that. First, Speedy, go look that up quickly. How many touches did Jerome Ford have? How many touches did Kareem Hunt have last year? Because this past year, because that's interesting to me. That's a good statistic to argue, but I don't want to argue this. We can argue it another day because we got to go.
But I'm just telling you, I would rather have
Ford 204, Hunt 135.
Dobbins and some of these other running backs that are free agents. Yeah, give me 2 or 3 or 4 of them.
All right.
That's great.
What was it? What was it, Fish?
Ford 204, Hunt 135. And Dobbins has only ever played 23 games in the NFL because he's always hurt.
Right,
That's how many games he's played.
Also,
Why would you want that guy?
Keep in mind with those
2
touches,
knees.
Kareem Hunt wasn't there until week 6 or week 5, I think.
Yes, but it was Jerome Ford's, touches. He was touching the ball.
Not really, because if you take away 6 games off of Jerome Ford, I guarantee you they were.
Well, Chubb got hurt in week 2, so you're essentially taking 4 games away. Not
Ford
6.
Ford really started in the third.
Whatever.
Week.
It was at least a month of the season.
I had Jerome Ford on both my fantasy teams, 2 out of the 3 fantasy teams, and Jerome Ford was the number 1 back when Chubb went down. He was the number 1 back. He was touching the ball the first and second,
because
second downs.
It took another month before
Yes.
Kareem Hunt showed up.
It took a couple of games. I think it was like 3 games before they brought Kareem Hunt because they lost another running back. They had Jerome Ford and somebody else.
And they traded with the Patriots for
Pierre Strong, yeah.
Pierre Strong, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you act like that was like easy and representative of the league. That guy won Coach of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that was the quarterback situation, obviously, but the losing Chubb, who was similar as far as volume
top
of
5
offense,
running back in the league. Top 5, easy.
Maybe top 3 going into the league. He was being drafted real high. Like that guy is
Yes,
great.
in fantasy, he's in the top 3.
Yeah, I'm so sick of you fantasy people because there's a difference between fantasy.
No, I
and
said top 5. I think he was 5. I would have put him in at 5. That's where I would have put him. Josh Jacobs was wrongly used. Josh Jacobs to me is a top 3 running back in the league. I'm going to tell you this right now. If I were the Giants, if you're moving away from Saquon Barkley, I go after that guy. That's who I want. If I were the Giants,
either.
I'm just saying. Just saying that's what I would do. Josh Jacobs.
Dude, like what is Fish driving? 1986 Dodge Neon or something like that, right? How many times can you drive your Dodge Neon into a telephone pole before the thing breaks? These older running backs that have 1 million carries a game.
I'm a Knicks fan.
Henry,
This is what we do.
Barkley and Josh Jacobs. Dude, they're in a car crash every week. They're gonna start breaking.
Fish, you just have to hang out with Jason Kidd. I know
we pulled up a couple of real abusive guys today. We didn't even talk about the Hunt story at all either. And we've been talking about him too.
Listen, I'm just trying to be nice.
I played golf with Jason Kidd.
I know you did.
Yeah, Manhattan Woods. What a day that was. Holy crap.
I'm sure. I wonder.
The biggest fight I've ever seen.
I'll tell you this right now. How big is Jason Kidd's head, man? Oh my God, that thing.
Oh, he's got a big dome. But he's the kindest human being on the planet.
I'm sure. I mean, he's got to keep his hands to himself,
The day we played together, I'll tell you this about Jason Kidd, because Ahmad Rashad's a scumbag, and I don't want to get into Ahmad Rashad.
I heard about that too. I've heard about Ahmad Rashad. Yep.
Right, he's a scumbag. He's a piece of shit. But Jason Kidd.
I didn't say that, Ahmad.
At Manhattan Woods, he had a caddy's number, and the kid was a high school kid. And he used that kid for 2 years as his caddy. He would text him and say, hey, I'm showing up and you got a caddy for me today. And the kid would show up and caddy for him. And he did that for 2 years. And so in the middle of August, this kid was like, all right, like this is my last day. I'm going to college, whatever. Jason Kidd was like, go upstairs and wait in the bar. And so we were all sitting there, and the kid came in, and we were like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm waiting for Jason. And Jason Kidd came in and gave the kid $30 grand in cash and said, pay for all your books, and the rest is beer money. Jason Kidd's one of the kindest people on the planet.
I'm not saying that he isn't. He just needs to keep his hands to himself. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, that's fine, but he's a generous dude that cares about other people.
Listen,
and I'm never going to hate on him.
I loved it. Jason Kidd was one of my favorite players growing up when he was drafted and when he played for Phoenix and then when he went to the Nets. I couldn't stand the Nets, but I loved him. I loved watching him and Kenyon Martin, who, by the way, was the biggest biggest number one bust pick in NBA history. That guy sucks. All right.
You know who the best shooter on that team was, right? Jason Williams. Tremendous shooter.
Yes, but I also like Kerry Kittles, man. We did mention that.
He's not even close to the shooter.
No. But and who did Kerry Kittles play for, Speedy?
The Nets.
No, but who did he play for in college?
I don't
remember.
Villanova. How do you not know that?
I didn't remember that.
Oh my God.
Too young, Speedy.
That wasn't even the best player on that team. I think Keith Van Horn was a better player. Where did he go to college?
Hold on. Utah.
I got it.
Utah.
Yep.
Utah. Was it?
Yep.
Utah. Correct.
Yeah. By the way, I loved Keith Van Horn on the Knicks and on the Nets. I loved them. So
was Van Horn the one that lost that championship game to that UCLA team?
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Was Van Horn in that college championship game? They lost to that famous fast break to UCLA, the Tyus Edney thing years ago, or the Ed O'Bannon team, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was.
I don't think it was a championship game. I think he was in the final.
Or it was
Final Four.
It was a Final Four game, maybe.
Final Four. It was in the.
It was like a famous moment in the game.
Yeah, they lost in the Final Four.
But that Tyus Edney bucket, I don't think was in the Final Four. I think that was a Sweet 16 game.
Yeah. But I think it was Utah. Utah went to the Final Four. And I remember that. By the way, I had Utah as my surprise team going to the finals, and they lost in the Final Four. I remember that. I'll never forget the bracket when I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Kentucky and Arizona, and I had Kentucky and Arizona, and nobody thought Arizona was going to the national championship, and Arizona knocked off Kentucky. It was my prediction. I won so much money when I was a kid, man. I think I was like 13 or 12 years old. I remember that game. Miles, was it Miles? I think it was Miles on that team, right? I think it was Miles, the point guard on the team.
Yeah, Miles and Bibby.
Yeah,
it was Miles, Simon, and Mike Bibby.
Yes,
and
yes.
Some other joke. You know, I got to be honest with you, Errol. I thought I was going to get a better laugh when I said Jason Williams was a terrific shooter. That poor limo driver, huh?
Yeah, well, he's another one. I don't know if you guys know about Jason Williams. You guys know
some dark stories going on. Wasn't he like playing around with the shotgun or something? This story goes.
Oh, what happened was his limo driver. He was downstairs in the basement. They were playing pool, and they were drinking, getting messed up, probably doing drugs, and his limo driver got into a crossfire, and it was bad.
It's terrible.
It was
terrible.
See, but Fish knew the story. He's on it.
Yeah, it was bad. I remember that. It was horrible. You guys you weren't even born. I don't think.
I appreciate that.
She was born, and I think Speedy, you were probably like 3 years old or 2 years old when that happened. That was horrible. Long time.
Yeah, I remember that stuff. I'm almost 40, so like I know.
Happened with the Nets. It was their power forward. Yeah.
Yeah, Fish is smarter than I think I gave him credit for. I can't believe he knew all that stuff.
I get that a lot, man.
He actually wipes his ass by himself. That's good. Speedy, do you?
Well, that makes one person on this show that can do that.
I wipe my own ass. I wipe my own ass.
You know the beef. He just wipes his hand and licks it clean.
Big Daddy.
Boy, he's going to call me. His ears are probably ringing while he's sleeping right now. He's going to call me. Tell that fat you know what to stop talking about me.
Oh, I know. I'm so fat. Oh, I'm so fat.
Oh,
moron. I'm not. That kid thinks I'm fat. That shows you how dumb that kid is. I'm so fat.
Jeff, thank you for calling, bud. Thank you for joining us tonight.
It's always a pleasure, so I can be here to tell the beef he's a fucking moron.
Well, there it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. He loves to end a show with a bang. Did he ever? He was actually, listen, I love when Jeff comes on and he's actually a normal person because he has some good takes. He actually gives you some good takes. When he's and I'm not saying he's a homer on anything that he said, but when he believes himself to be right, like Patrick Beverley, a couple of weeks ago, he told me he's sixth man of the year. I said, "What are you on drugs?" And he said, "Oh, look at his numbers. He's having one of his best seasons." I was like, "Dude, his numbers aren't good. All right, he's a good defensive player. He's a good player. He's not a great player." So, but Jeff, he has some good takes and. College, as far as college basketball and college football, the man knows what he's talking about. He bets a lot. He follows these guys. College football. Now he's been right on a lot of guys, and he's been wrong on a lot of guys, like Tony being one of them. Oh, the human joystick. This guy's going to be a star. Did you watch him in Florida? Yeah, I watched him, and look at him. He's playing on two teams. He's attacking both fans on both sides of the ball. I mean, the guy doesn't get along with anybody, but. Whatever. But it was a good show. We didn't have any guests tonight.
Both just what are the odds of that?
What happened, man? What happened to you, Speedy?
What are the odds?
Those D tackles, we got to talk to Sean about how do we get the D
Maybe
tackles.
Sean had something to do with it. Maybe they told him not to come on.
I will say this. Martin's a nice guy. I'm very surprised Martin didn't come on the show tonight. I reach out to him and find out what happened. Probably something, something happened with him. I don't know Realus, so I can't judge him, but maybe in the future we get him on the show.
Hopefully.
But very interesting. But both guys didn't show up on the show, Speedy. And that's why I tell you, what did I tell you? You get them on the feed and you make sure that they know how to use it.
And I told them that like 5 times.
They know how to use Zoom. They don't know how to use StreamYard. Some of these guys have no idea how to use StreamYard. They don't. It's unfortunate, but they don't.
And it's easier. It's weird.
It is easier, but they don't know how to use it.
It is easier.
Because Zoom, what Zoom is, you do all business trades and all that other stuff, and it's easy to use because you use it all the time. Zoom was really, besides OBS, Zoom was the second, a digital profile program that came out on. Actually, Wirecast was, and then it was Zoom. Wirecast was fantastic. It was just too expensive. I think Wirecast cost me like $600 a year or some crap like that. It was expensive. It really was, but it had so many things that you can use on it. I just didn't like the video feeds. And we got people on Speed. You remember that? I didn't like that, but anyways, I'm not trying to take shots at Wirecast. By the way, I'm trying to be nice. I've tried to be nice. And by the way, Jason Kidd's son, I forget his name, but man, he had a big head too, man. Jesus,
I remember that.
Oh man,
the pictures.
Yeah, like a big head, like a man's head on a little boy's body, man. That thing was huge. I mean, serious. I'm not lying to you, man. I mean, it's bigger than a basketball. So I'm just speaking the truth. But Jason had a big head. So I actually met Jason Kidd at a golf tournament. I wasn't playing golf, okay? I'm not trying to pretend like Sean Smith that I'm a pretty good golfer, okay? Because I don't play. I should because I'm competitive. But I was at a golf tournament. I was doing interviews, and Jason Kidd was playing. And Jason Kidd's actually a pretty good golfer, actually. He's a pretty good golfer. He can actually drive a golf ball and a pretty good putt game and everything like that. But that was the first time I met him. He is a nice guy. He really is. He just needs to, keep his hands to himself, and when he does, stop drinking. I think he said he was clean for the last couple of years, so I don't know. Anyways, great show. Thank you, Fish. Thank you for joining us as always. The only thing you need to do when Jeff calls is you got to let Jeff talk, and then don't layer with him because he's not gonna let you talk unless he knows you. So you build a good relationship with Jeff.
I think we just went a long way to get to know each other a little bit there, me and old Jeff.
Well, I think it was a great show. As far as content is concerned, it was a great show. It really was. We had really good content tonight. No crazy Sean Smith, telling us how flexible he is and he does hot yoga and, doing what
that was an image the other day, yesterday.
Boy, was it ever. I mean, If he wants to flex, and then he tries to take shots at me during the show, telling me that you're the weak one out of all three. I was like, weak one. I was like, I'm benching 225, 30 to 35 times. I do more than the guys at the combine. You old men could do that. I mean, by the way, Tyrone Crawford is younger than I am. Yeah, he's younger than I am. He's 36, 37 years old. And Sean, who says I'm a little bit older than him, Sean Smith is only a year older than me. Okay. And I am benching probably more than Sean was benching when he was an NFL football player. Just so you know that I'm not some weak. I might not be as tall as these guys. These guys are giants. I mean, you look at Sean. Sean, when he stands next to me, he's probably like 6 inches bigger than me. I mean, or 4 inches, 5 inches. But let me tell you something. Stronger, not a chance. So, no offense, Sean. We love you, and I love you, man. But when you could do about 3,000 push-ups in a week, we can talk. But until then, that's not gonna. I know Tyrone's not doing that anymore. So, but whatever. I love those guys. They were great. Yes, fantastic as always.
Absolutely.
And we'll have Sean on next Wednesday. We'll have our meetings on Sunday, going over some of the stuff. But great show. Thank you, Scoops, for giving us your takes, your sports minute. Fish, thank you for being the executive craziest producer out there. Speedy, keep wiping your ass, man. Keep wiping your ass. Sure. Any streaks?
Sure.
Any skid marks? I mean,
sure.
That was my nickname in high school when I was a kid, man. It was skid marks. Yeah. It was my last name. They called me Skids.
Yep.
They called me Skids, man. It was either that or, everybody tried to find a way to make jokes and stuff like that. So it was Skids or Marks, because it was Skid Marks, or my name's Errol, so they would call me Egg Roll. And I never understood it. I'm like, egg roll. I mean, listen, I like egg rolls. I mean, but egg roll, I mean, I think you should be a little bit better than that. I mean, a little smarter than that. But anyways, those were the two crazy nicknames. I had nicknames for everybody, so it didn't really bother me. I had worse nicknames to give to people. So I definitely knew how to dish it out too. So just so everybody knows. Anyways, great show. Thank you to all the fans. Thank you to all the downloads on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. 73,000 for all the fans out there. Thank you. Keep downloading. Keep being the crazy fans that you are, and keep checking us out. YouTube, we have a new way of putting up our stories, our shorts. We're going to be on top of that, right, boys? Speedy? Alan, Mr. Fish. So we're going to start building for all the fans out there that are following us and listening and downloading us. If you listen to the show all the way through, guys, subscribe to us. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Sports Loudmouth Show. Okay, at sign Sports Loudmouth Show. Okay. That's all I'm asking you guys to do. Subscribe to us. Don't be lazy, okay? It takes 5 seconds to do it. I mean, seriously, that's all I'm saying. Anyways, thank you to all the fans. We'll be back next week. Speedy, who do we have
Nothing
on?
yet.
Nothing, but hopefully they actually show up. How's that?
Yeah.
That would be nice. I mean, that would be nice. Even though it's very good content that we're putting out there, it's just a little tiring when you don't have a guest on, Speedy. You're really hurting my feelings.
Yeah.
You're hurting my feelings, man. Do you want me to wipe your ass?
No.
Okay, I'm just asking you. I mean, if I wipe your ass, maybe they'll show up.
Highly doubt.
Really? It's like a genie in a bottle. Your ass is like a genie. If I wipe it, maybe something will pop out of it. I don't
Test
want to
that
know.
theory on someone else.
I don't want to. Listen, I'm just trying to help you out. Trying to help you out, man. Are you okay?
You could test that theory on someone
Are you
else.
okay? Are you okay tonight?
It doesn't correlate.
Are you breathing?
It doesn't. Yes, I'm talking, so I'm clearly breathing. Elementary school science, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you could be a vampire.
Okay, if I was a vampire, I wouldn't be here.
That's not true. Why wouldn't you be here?
Name a vampire that does a sports show.
There is none, but
exactly.
But you could be the first.
I don't care.
I don't give a rat's ass. Give me one of those.
I don't give a rat's ass.
No, you don't do it. You get angry when you do it. It's a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, give me another one. But
Got to be in the moment.
Let it go. Let it go.
I don't give a rat's ass.
No, you see, you're not doing it the way you are. You get all like, it becomes turbulence, and you go, I don't give a rat's ass.
I don't give a rat's ass.
All right, you're trying to blow my eardrums down.
You wanted turbulence. You got turbulence.
Well, that's turbulence, man. What do you want me to crash?
Well, opposites attract.
Now you're my opposite.
Yeah, I was too low the
Wait
second.
a second.
I was too low the second time, so I counted out. It evens out. Law of averages.
Hold on one second. You
law of averages.
Law, your averages. That's not my average. You just told me.
If I say something quietly, then I say something loud. It cancels out, right?
I always tell you what's good for me is good for you. We're a team, and now all of a sudden,
law of averages.
You are a little piece of you know what.
Law of averages.
You know that? You're like a little turd that comes out of my ass when I'm trying to squeeze it through these cheeks.
Hopefully you can wipe it without a genie.
I don't know. Do you have enough toilet paper?
That's your own issue.
You could just wish for some more.
Listen, I go through a roll a day, baby.
Well, that's your own issue.
A roll a day, man. That means I'm taking dumps maybe 4 or 5 times a day.
Okay.
How many times you dump a day?
Usually 2, maybe.
2 times?
Maybe.
Are they the smelliest ones?
I don't know. I don't compare.
You don't smell them?
I don't compare other people's dumps.
I do.
Good for you.
Good for you or good for me?
You.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Oh, man. What a show, man. You. All right. We'll be back next week on Wednesday, as Speedy has no guests lined up, but we will. Don't worry, guys. Don't be afraid. Don't be worried. We will. Anyways, good night.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.